lets it off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy.
As I said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
With the Gateway Arch off in the distance, just across the Mississippi River, we bring you tonight to Gateway Motorsports Park for the the Patriot Fire Cup Series Amsoil 200. Wow. And of course, we're going to be doing all right weather than that. But hey, let's go ahead and talk about the Premier Racing League. Hey, good evening, race fans, and believe it or not, yes, I do actually have a script in front of me here. Of course, we're bringing you tonight Gateway Motorsports Park and the Premier Racing League, and we're racing the Amsoil 200 tonight with 200 miles of hard-hitting iRacing Monster Energy Cup action. Expects lots of action out there out of these guys tonight, and of course, action up at the booth is joining me tonight are the Lumberjack, Sean Ambrose, and running the almighty colorful switchboard, I'm Jed Yaman. He'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard, who dutifully shows up to the track days beforehand to get you, of course, the best angles. So for tonight, if you joined us for the American Pool Supply Truck Series race the other night, you know that Gateway is going to be a challenging oval for these guys, especially in these Cup cars. Sean, thanks for joining me again tonight. Gateway is one of those tracks that's just different. What's your impression of this facility?
Well, it's pretty straightforward, actually, as far as distance. It's a 1.25 mile oval. Now, there aren't a whole lot of those. What's really tricky here is turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4. 1 and 2 with 11 degrees of banking, 3 and 4 with 9 degrees of banking, and the straightaways just a little bit, 3 degrees. But this track, likened to Phoenix and Darlington, Gateway's asymmetrical oval has proven to be a demanding test of driver and machine, regardless of whether those machines are open wheels or stock cars like you're going to see tonight, with turn 1 and 2 a little bit tighter but more steeply banked than turns 3 and 4. The track requires a compromised chassis setup. While the fact of the list of Gateway race winners includes names like Carl Edwards, Ron Hornaday, Juan Pablo Montoya, attest to the demand this track places on drivers. Adam, listen, we're going to hop on board real quick with the GSRC Monster Energy Cup Chevrolet for a ride around Gateway Motorsports Park.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around Gateway Motorsports Park in the GSRC Chevrolet SS. Gateway is a fun little track right out there in the Midwest part of the United States. So without further ado, here we go. Down the front stretch. Very long front stretch too, with a deceivingly early braking point in these Cup cars. Really going to have to get on the binders hard here in turn 1. Get that thing woed down, get it down here to the bottom, roll into the gas about halfway, and then back on full throttle on exit. Watch the wheel spin coming off of the corner. Right here, this broken backstretch. Be careful of that. That can ruin your day if you're not paying attention. Down here into turn 3, hard on the binders again. Let it roll all the way through the middle here. Try to get down towards those rumble strips as close as you can without getting on them and spinning the car out. Also, watch the wheel spin off of the corner. Down the front stretch one more time, down into this very hard braking point. Good passing opportunities down here into turn 1. Let it float through the middle here, halfway onto the gas, back 3/4 onto the throttle. Aim for the marks on the wall right there as your point of exit. Once again, minding that down the back stretch, broken wall there. Hard into turn 3 one more time. Get it woed down, get it real close to that apron, but don't hit it. Get off of the rumble strips, and then watch out of here turn 4, because it can get very deceivingly tight, just like happened to me And here we go, across the line. And that is going to complete our track guide here around the Gateway Motorsports Park. I'm Brian Yazik. Enjoy the show.
That was a trip around Gateway Motorsports Park, and now Adam is with the man from Amsoil himself, Adam Blattell.
Yeah, hashtag Adam Blattell. Of course, man from Amsoil, as Sean said. Hey, buddy, how'd you get Amsoil on board here for tonight?
A lot of work. James is a great guy, and he understands that I have a great little company on the side, and he invited me in the small group of corporate partners to be a part of this, and it's my home track, and so it just means that much more.
Well, of course, it brings us here to the challenging Gateway Motorsports Park with these Monster Energy Cup cars. And yeah, I know you've been out there turning some laps. You were talking to us a little bit behind the scenes about how these cars are driving here. Why don't you tell the viewers at home what they might expect here tonight as far as handling?
Yeah, so I think what the RTA and some of the Premier Racing League admins did is this is a modified setup, and I believe it is derived from a Richmond setup. So it's pretty snug in, and center is decent, and then it's pretty loose off. So you're going to see guys shifting, and then you're going to have a loose off condition on top of shifting. There's going to be a ton of excitement. There always is at Gateway. You might even see a brawl in between 1 and 2. We just don't know. It's going to be crazy. So it's going to be fun. You're going to see guys going too wide, dive bomb. It's going to be crazy.
All right, so on your end, what do you think needs to have happen to try to get your first top 10 of the season?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do the Jason Swan theory of iRacing tonight. It's a patented theory. It's called ride in the back because I'm clearly not fast in practice. I'm gonna let some guys get some damage, and then I'm gonna just slowly creep up, get that top 10, get a little airtime. We're gonna have a lot of Amsoil cars on the broadcast tonight, and just kind of weather the storm. I think we're gonna see a lot of carnage.
Well, and if the Truck Series race the other night was any indication, you might very well be right. So, hey, Adam, good luck riding out the storm here tonight, and wish you the best.
Thank you guys very much, and a big shout out to Chris Gallo. We're thinking about your family and praying for you guys.
All right, so Sean, of course, 200 miles tonight. That's going to be 160 laps around this 1.25-mile facility. That means halfway point is going to be at lap 80. Of course, in this series, the top 10 get bonus points, so look for the action to pick up around there. But speaking of points, why don't you go ahead and tell us where we're sitting at so far this season?
All right, man, let's do it. We're going to check these points out now here on screen. It's a great battle here in the Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup. After Road America, here we stand. Bob Bryant sits on top, but that lead is shrinking. Nick Cohan sits just 28 points back. And then there's still this great battle going on here, third back through about, let's face it, all the way back to 10th. Tommy Ryan, Scott Eckridge practically knotted up right there. Tommy, very fast in practice. This could be a big night for Tommy Ryan if he plays his cards right. Ricky Harden is knotted up there with Tyler Dalton. Mellendorf, who's not here tonight. This could be a tremendous loss in points for Mellendorf if he doesn't get in here quickly. Skrupa also not here tonight. After winning last week, is noticeably absent right now. This again could be, so we're going to see a lot of change here in the spring standings after tonight if we don't have a couple of these drivers show up in time for the green flag.
Yeah, of course, and that's something that we're watching here for everybody is these guys, missing this race. It definitely is going to shake things up, especially in the back half of the top 10 there. But I definitely think you're right about Tommy Ryan looking to have a pretty big night. Of course, we know Tommy; he's very consistent, so he's going to be definitely one to watch.
Well, let's look at the season points real quick as we just went over the spring standings. Now, this is race 10. We only have 2 races left in the spring segment. So here's where we sit in the season up to this point. Bob Bryant is your leader. Nick Cohan there at second. Scott Eckridge, Tommy Ryan. Real close battle right there for third and fourth. Mellendorf in fifth. Now, again, he's not here this evening as I'm still not seeing him checked into the session here. Yazik with a chance to really, really make some ground this evening. He'll be a favorite tonight. Tyler Dalton, Ricky Harden, Skrupa. Again, Skrupa absent this evening. This could be a big night for Dalton and Harden as well. Tim Johnston with a chance to really, really gain some solid points. So there is your top 10 in the season standings. Again, just 2 rounds to go after tonight in the spring segment.
Well, and of course, that brings us to some keys for tonight. These guys, they're going to have to watch that fuel mileage here, especially if we're able to get some long runs in. Right now, the consensus is that we might not. It might be a series of sprint races, but if we do get some long runs in with single file racing, fuel is going to become a concern. You saw that just a couple of weeks ago. Tires, managing the tires. This track is going to be very slick. We're underneath an afternoon sun. We are going to be sliding around a lot. These guys are already talking about, especially coming off of 2, you're having to manhandle the car once you get on the gas. That's going to eat up those rear tires. You're going to have to be managing that tire wear and trying to save something for the end of your run. And that, of course, goes along with managing the setup. We've got 2 very different ends of the track here tonight. You kind of got a tighter end, you kind of got a wider end. And, it's one of those tracks, kind of like Pocono, in the way that you're never going to be able to set up perfectly for both ends. Do you find a happy medium, or you just find something that's going to work for you and that's going to be strong? So, Sean, with that, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the race here tonight?
Well, listen, buddy, you know what? It's going to be a challenge. So you talked about the tires. Listen, it's warm out here. It's not blistering hot, but it is 86 degrees on track. Mostly cloudy. There's going to be a little bit of grip, but this track, and because of the high speed down the straights and then really using a lot of braking, you're going to be getting a lot of heat into those tires. They will fall off. You'll see a significant drop off in times. If we get any long green flag runs, there's 100% fuel in the car. So managing that, it's going to be a very, very large pit window with that halfway point at lap 80. How close can you get to that, and still keep yourself at the front of the field to get those much needed bonus points at the halfway point? So I'll be watching that. Fuel is going to be a big, big deal if we get a green flag run. I think it's absolutely possible. They've got a lot of, let's face it, at this point, this is the last race of the week on this track. They've got a lot of experience here now. The Cup car, I think, is manageable in these conditions. I think the set, most drivers are pretty happy with it. I think we're going to have a great race tonight here.
All right, and with that, let's talk about your woodshed pick for today. Who you got?
Boy, I'll tell you, I picked a couple of guys in the woodshed, actually, that I was going to keep an eye on that unfortunately aren't here. So I had to re-rack. Did not get time to head back to the woodshed, unfortunately, but with some computing and some very, very careful calculation, I like Tommy Ryan, actually. I think the Carolina driver is going to be one to watch this evening, and maybe even Jeff Ward. But you know what? This field is stacked. The times are really, really close here in qualifying so far. This could be a special night. Thomas George, does he have a win in him this evening? The Virginia driver. And the guy at the top of the board in qualifying right now, tell you what, Dalton could be the man. It's a great place to start from.
Yeah, and speaking of Dalton, I think it's pretty safe to say we can call him our MP3 Designs Pole Award winner for tonight. He laid down a blistering lap of about 32.071. That is about 0.13 of a second faster than Thomas George, who looks like he's going to start on the outside of him. So very quick lap here, but you can definitely see when he's going through these corners, this fast line here coming through 3 and 4, that a lot of those guys aren't just diving to the bottom right away. So that might be an opportunity for some guys in there to kind of try to sneak their nose in. And as we heard Adam Blattel talk about earlier, it could see some a little bit dive bombing type of situations because of that. So that's going to be something to watch out for here for the race. Okay, so we got a couple minutes here before the race start. Before we bring you your grid, you got the color guard from Fort Leonard Wood coming out on the track for your national anthem. All right, so we've already talked about Tyler Dalton being on the pole here for tonight. I don't believe we do have one car out on the track right now with Ricky Harden. We're watching. Yeah, he's just turning laps right now. So I think with that, I think it's pretty safe. We can go ahead and start talking about the grid here, Sean. So let's go ahead and talk about Tyler Dalton on the pole, as we talked about. Very, very close to him. And in fact, you look at the top four guys separated by less than a tenth of a second. Very close night between Tyler Dalton and Thomas George on your front row.
Yeah, and Yazik keeping it pretty close himself there in third and row 2, the inside. That'll be an advantage for him getting a start down there on the bottom. Jeff Ward will have to deal with everything else up top in fourth.
Yeah, and of course, Yazik had a very strong night the other night in the trucks. So here comes Tommy Ryan, one of the Woodshed picks for tonight. And of course, he's strong in practice, and we know how consistent of a driver he can be. And alongside him is going to be Drew Carroll.
And then we're going to drop back to row 4. Ricky Harden going to start 7th. Tim Johnston, 8th tonight.
Nick Cohan and Woodrow Mahan starting in row 5.
All right, and then we go back to row 6. Going to be Norman Pelletier and Devin Cannon.
And Bob Bryant and Rick Thompson are going to get nice and close and comfortable here going into turn 1.
All right, row 8 is going to be made up of Travis McQuistion starting in 15th. Randy Yoakum, 16th tonight.
Joshua King starting in 17th, and the inside of row 9, outside of row 9. We talked to him before, Adam Littell.
Row 10, Justin Rodden and Mark Allen, rounding out the top 20.
All right, so Don Runkle Jr. is going to start in 21st position. 22nd's going to belong to Reed Rundell. They make up row 11.
Row 12, Gerald Livingston, 23rd tonight. John Wilco, 24th.
And Rich Jett and Matt Murphy will start in row 13. And I'll round it out here real quick just because I want to mention Kevin Filarski and James Krahulo will make up row 14. You see everybody there that did not set times in qualifying, but they are still in the session and are expected to make the grid here right now. So, Sean, any final thoughts before we get going here today?
Boy, this start down into turn 1, everybody side by side, gonna have to really pay attention to the guys up top. It's going to be an adventure in trying to hang on with the cold tires there heading down into turn 1 when the green flag drops. I think everybody should keep their eyes focused there to what's going on that top line as they all dive in there. It's going to be really, really tough for those guys on the top side to get started. It may be a big run at the bottom. You may see a lot of your front runners drop back really quick. Going to have trouble trying to drop the car in there in line somewhere.
Well, you heard it there, so that's what's going to be expected here coming into the green flag. We're just waiting right now for the last couple of cars to get onto the grid, then we'll see that Mustang pace car roll away any minute now. So, but they only got a little bit of time before they're ever able to here before the grid clock starts to wind down. So just waiting on a few guys. I tell you what, these guys are being real chatty Cathys tonight in the race chat.
Yeah,
I have a feeling
definitely.
though that conversation is getting ready to end here pretty quick as the action's going to pick up quite a bit here at Gateway. If you were with us with the truck race the other night, you saw that, yeah, there was some action out there, and these guys are expecting much of the same here for this afternoon race at Gateway. The track's going to be slick. They're going to have to watch the tires and take care of that, but at the same time, you don't want to give up too much. Sean, one of the questions that we've been asking drivers that we've been talking to is, are you shifting? With the two completely different ends of the track, what do you think the general consensus amongst these guys are?
I think it's 50-50, actually. I think it's a mixed bag. I certainly tried it in practice. It certainly helps with the grip, but the only problem is getting off the turn, like you mentioned before. It's an interesting challenge of acceleration and getting that shift back up to fourth, back down the straightaway.
All about getting that power down when the time comes. So right now, I think they're waiting. I think somebody is waiting for this countdown clock to roll away. So I think somebody might be starting in the pits here in a minute. We'll find out who in just a second. Okay, so Ricky Harden is going to go ahead and start in the pits here for tonight. Mustang pace car is away. We are finally rolling on the pace lap. You got the Mustang pace car, and then you got that Haviland machine of Tyler Dalton there on the inside. Tyler had a pretty good show the other night. He was able to get that truck around, was able to get up front and stay up front on a little bit of pit strategy as well. But the man just behind him, Brian Yazek, put on a heck of a show for that truck race the other night, and he could be particularly a strong contender. Really, one thing that we did see at that truck race was the inside line on restarts. Sean, if you have the opportunity to maybe be second or third right before yellow comes out and you get to choose where you're wanting to restart, what's going to be your choice? Inside line or outside line?
Ooh, give me the inside line here for sure. Yeah, I wanna start down inside. I think that's where the safety is. I think you're going to see a lot of marbles, a lot of rubber up top. It's going to be tough to get restarted up there. Give me the grip and the groove down on the bottom.
All right, so that pace car heading into turn 4, it is pulling away, and they are on the gas pedal. Tyler Dalton is away. You can see how good of a jump he gets. Going down the front straightaway, he's crossing underneath the flag stand and heading off to turn 1 all by himself. He is not able, nobody's able to be up there alongside of him. You got Thomas George right there trying to fight to get position, but he's got Brian Yazek right behind him that is not going away easily. But Thomas George does have a little bit of momentum coming off too. It does look like Yazek is going to slip, but right behind him heading into 3. In fact, Yazek kind of drifts up a little bit high, and Jeff Ward back there kind of takes a peek underneath, but I think that ended up costing him a little bit of momentum as he ends up dropping back from the back bumper at Yazek. Behind them, though, you got Drew Carroll and Tommy Ryan. They are running side by side as Drew Carroll kind of drifts high a little bit, but Tommy Ryan follows right behind him. Tommy Ryan, as you know, he can be a very safe and consistent driver, and he will not stick his nose in where it doesn't belong, especially this early in the race. So going up to P2, Yazek was strong the other night. Here he comes again on the inside of Thomas George, and it looks like he is going to clear him on the exit of 4.
Boy, talk about putting the power down for Yazek. Boy, George is going to, I just did say that, George is going to fight back down into 1 on the inside. Can't pull it off. Yazek right there in the center of the turn. Really, really nice run through there. I think he's got the car settled, driving like he wants it to, but Thomas George remains on the attack. Won't look now. Here comes Jeff Ward into your picture. Ward going to look for a spot, an opportunity down low. He's got to back off. Give the edge to George. Back on the attack, trying to catch up to Yazek.
Yeah, and one thing I'm noticing here is that we got a car on the inside wall coming out of 4.
Oh boy,
Several cars involved.
That was, I think that, boy, who was that? McQuistion, yeah, Travis McQuistion gets a piece of it coming off of 4. Let's look at the replay.
Yeah. I think Mark Allen was involved. I think Don Runkle Jr. was involved.
Oh, was that Norman Pelletier, I think, coming by that might, yeah, the 56 gets McQuistion as he, the 56 gets the wall coming off of 4, Norman Pelletier. Let's ride on board here with Justin Rodden and see what kind of view he had. Maybe a little too far up to see that, but oh boy, and Rodden had nowhere to go. That's boy, that's a hard hit. That knocked the whole front end off at him. That's going to be really tough to recover from.
Yeah, and I think Adam Littell got involved in that. Pretty significant damage in Adam Littell's vehicle as well. So we were talking about the potential maybe of having him get his first top 10 of the season. Significant front end damage on his Toyota Camry. I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, pit road becoming active here. We're only 5 laps in. You can see how important tires are going to be to these guys. They are making their way down that long gateway pit road. And so one thing we saw at the first pit stop of the Truck Series race the other day was some pit strategy playing out early with some guys just trying some things. Do you think we're going to see any of that here with these guys?
No, I don't. I think we're going to see a lot less of it tonight because I think the power of this car makes it more of a tire liability, and I think you're going to have to play it safe. We've already seen some carnage here early, and that's what you've got to avoid for a good points night. Now, Ricky Harden does stay out. Quick update on Ricky Harden. He apparently was snoozing at the start. He did have to start from the pit. He missed the grid. So Ricky's going to keep his car out there and try and get that spot back.
Well, I do believe that there were a couple of guys that took some chances. I think Bob Bryant, Nick Cohan, and your leader, Tyler Dalton, and I saw Tyler Dalton do this for sure, only took 2 tires. So they only grabbed the right sides, and we're going to have to see how those pan out here. A little bit of, I guess, experimentation going on early, but as you mentioned, the question mark becomes, is it actually going to work out for these guys?
Well, you know what? This is the perfect time to try that, Adam. I know you asked me, and I said no, I didn't want to play around with that. But if you're going to try it, do it here early, all right? You're 5 laps in, you get a caution flag. Let's experiment now. Obviously, you've still got a lot of race ahead of you to make up for that if it doesn't work out. So you never know. I mean, your next caution flag could come out on the restart. So we'll see. They should be able to make it work. If it's not a long green flag run, honestly, I don't think they had a chance to beat up those tires enough for it to really matter.
And I'm not sure if that was Sean or not, but it sounded like you were drilling something there in the background. You got your power drill going?
Power drill? No.
Ah, okay. Maybe it was just me. But hey, that red car you see up front, that's Ricky Harden, who you just mentioned. Ended up kind of missing the start there. Had to start from the pits, and looks like he is going to take advantage of the situation and try to at least get some track position here. Going to be one of those cars that's going to bank on having another quick caution, I bet. So you got to mix up front. You got Ricky Harden, who has taken no tires, especially if he drops off here. Lights are still on the pace car. So we'll watch him here for a second. If he doesn't drop off, he should restart the race in the lead. On the outside, him is going to be the guy that's led so far under green here today, and that is the like of Tyler Dalton, who only took 2 tires, and of course the 2 cars behind him would have only taken 2 tires. That would be Nick Cohan and Bob Bryant. So Tyler Dalton will have a little bit of cushion between himself and the guys that took 4 tires, and likewise, of course, Ricky Harden having a little bit of cushion there as well. So lights are out on the pace car. We're going to be going green next time by.
Well, we've got several drivers who've unfortunately taken those cars behind the wall already. Adam Littell, Justin Rodden, Norman Pelletier, and Travis McQuistion currently behind the wall with their cars. And let's see, Reed Rundell, Don Runkle, and Mark Allen also with their cars behind the wall right now. And that, that's a lot of attrition here quick. Hopefully, though, we're going to get back to racing here with 21 cars ready to go back to green here, Adam. Just about to head into turn 3.
Yeah, and as we round this last 2 corners before we get back to this the front straightaway and the restart of the race, Ricky Harden finding himself up front of this. Tyler Dalton, of course, alongside him again. Talking about that, Ricky Harden out there missed the start, so he's using the opportunity to try to get some track position back, but he is on old tires, at least compared to everybody else. Pace car is away. Get to see how everything does. Ricky Harden kind of slows him up a little bit to start. Doesn't get on it yet. Gets on the gas finally, but you see how he bunched up the field there. A little bit of gamesmanship coming to the line, and he's going to be able to take P1 here going into turn 1 with Tyler Dalton right behind him. But Tyler Dalton runs wide just a little bit. He's going to go 3 wide on the top for second position. He comes out alone. He's looking to try to get some position on Ricky Harden. He crosses over down the back straightaway and gets the inside look going into 3.
Boy, Bob Bryant was the meat there for a second in the sandwich. Bob digging right there in 4th, stuck up there on the outside. He's following Tommy Ryan. But Dalton is shot out in front, got this lead in hand right now. Everybody else chasing side by side as they all head down into turn 1.
Yeah, right now you got Nick Cohan on the inside of Ricky Harden. He's going to clear him here, but he's got Yazik right on his tail. And Nick Cohan kind of weaving a little bit down the back stretch. He should be able to take second all by himself here going into 1. You see Ricky Harden there kind of drifting wide. A couple cars are going to get past him. So now you have Dalton up front, Cohan in second, Yazik now finding himself in 3rd position, Bryant now in 4th, and George in 5th position. Yazik getting hungry here for 2nd position, looking on the outside of Cohan, thinks better of it.
Bryant's around. Bryant's
going around. Oh, and he's going to take George with him. George spins out in the middle of the field.
It was Bryant, and I'm afraid it was Bryant and Thomas George make contact coming off the turn. They were side by side.
We're gonna get a look at it. I wasn't able to see. Thomas George ended up getting spun into the middle of the track. I don't know if he made contact with him, but yeah, he's had to take a tow. He's got significant damage on his car. Who ended up getting into him? Oh, that black and green car. I'm not sure who that is.
Wow.
Now that definitely changes the complexion in the front half of the field here.
Several cars with damage. Drew Carroll picked up some damage on that. Jeff Ward looks to have a little on the rear end of his car. Yeah, that was messy. It looked like Tim Johnston was the one that just barely got by that all.
Yeah, and it was Matt Murphy that ended up catching Thomas George when he was sitting there.
Yeah, Rick Thompson on the screen. He's going to just squeak by that as he makes an evasive move down to the bottom.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, that's the story. And now pit road becomes a busy place here once again.
Well, tell you what, that got about another 6 laps in there, and it's time to go back in. Several drivers electing to stay out this time.
Yeah, and 2 of those guys right up front are 2 guys that only took 2 tires the previous pit stop. So you got Dalton and Cohan still 1-2 right now. I think, and I think about everybody from about 5th place on back decided to come in. So that kind of leaning credence to this theory here, Sean, that these guys might come in and get 4 fresh Goodyears after every stop.
Yeah, and I wonder if Jeff Ward even knows he has damage on his machine. I haven't heard anybody check in and let him know. I don't know if that's going to really affect the handling on it, but it is pretty mangled up.
Well, you know what? We'll go ahead and we'll take a look at that. We'll see, if that ends up affecting him. But we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll take a look at that when we come back. Alrighty, lights are off on that Mustang pace car. We're going to be going back to green here in just a moment as you see the cars coming out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. Your top 4 here, your first 2 rows to start this thing off with again, are going to be Tyler Dalton and Nick Cohan, and followed by Yazik and Jeff Ward. The question coming back to this restart is going to be the damage on the back of Jeff Ward's car, whether or not that's going to affect him too much. Of course, with the way attrition's going, he might have the least damage out of anybody that finishes this race eventually. Who knows? But we knew going into tonight that it might be an attrition-filled night, and it is proving to be that way here so far. So the cars are getting ready to come into turn 4. You'll see that Mustang pace car dive off here in just a second. Tyler Dalton's had a good restart so far. He's going to get a chance to again. He backs up the field just a little bit before getting on the gas, and away he goes, heading down to that start-finish line underneath the flag stand and into turn 1 with nobody challenging him for P1. Although Nick Cohan might try here. He dives it into one, almost gets into the back bumper of Tyler Dalton, gets almost to his quarter panel there, but loses all his momentum, and he's going to have to settle for just going with second place. As things shake out, Jeff Ward ends up in third position here. Yazik did not get a good restart there. Yazik was kind of the king of restarts the other night, but not so tonight. He's going to lose several positions as we complete lap 1 after the restart.
Yeah, you talked about momentum, and losing it was Yazik. Lost all that momentum on the restart.
Tyler Dalton drifts high here. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry to cut you off there. I thought we might have a change for the lead going there, but go ahead.
No, I was just talking about Yazik. Now, Yazik's back on it now. Okay, he's found his groove again, and he is battling here for this position with Joshua King. Can't forget about Ricky Harden there up top, and Woodrow Mahan in this battle also. Yazik, though, starting to pull away across the start-finish line. Yazik going to have the advantage going into 1. He's got 4th place.
So we'll watch Yazik's progress trying to get back up through the field. Next on his radar will be Jeff Ward. You brought up Ricky Harden there just a second ago. Ricky Harden was probably the biggest beneficiary of that first caution after he missed the start. It allowed him to get back to that track position and get back into the top half of this field, and he's trying to make the most out of it at this point. You see him there in that North Star number 15 car. Of course, right now I ride along with Joshua King. These guys, starting to see these guys kind of shake out a little bit, mostly going nose to tail, at least for about the first 8 or 9 spots, and that's when things kind of start getting side by side again. You see there on your screen that that's where the racing kind of gets a little bit heavier, but even those guys are just trying to sort themselves out. Now, I don't want to jinx it, but this after the restart, this almost has the feeling of maybe trying to get a longer run clipped off here.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Tim Johnston right now is fighting. He just took 7th from Woodrow Mahan, and Tim is charging hard up through this field. He's got Joshua King right up in front of him. Joshua is up 11 spots, but here's the move to the inside. Tim going to try to pull it off down on the bottom as they head down the back stretch. A lot of power right here heading into turn 3. Johnson again keeping it down there on the bottom, glued to the bottom of this track. He's going to leave Joshua King hanging high and dry up top, and off of 4, he's going to take that spot up to 6 for Tim Johnston.
Tim Johnston having a good run here so far tonight. He's been able to avoid, we saw him have a close call, but he's been able to avoid it so far and, be able to complete that pass finally around Joshua King. So now you have Joshua King who's going to have to fend off Woodrow Mahan and Bob Bryant here with now Bob Bryant trying to force the issue on the outside of Woodrow Mahan. Now, the Bob Bryant, of course, was involved in that last caution just a few minutes ago. So, got to think maybe hopefully he's got himself calmed down a little bit more and be able to, continue on here at least as far as nerves go. But he is definitely holding his own on the outside of Woodrow Mahan as of right now. Joshua King gets a little bit loose right in front of those two, and he's going to lose several spots. But everybody does a great job, particularly Woodrow Mahan and Bob Bryant, of avoiding that loose sliding race car. That was almost a close one there.
And just like that, he loses 4 spots. That little slip up, very costly. Very lucky for the Goat Racing unacceptable driver. Joshua King avoids a really scary one there.
And it seems like he's losing time now. I don't think he feels very, very comfortable out there here at the moment. So he's got to calm down. As I was just mentioning about Bob Bryant, he's got to get himself calmed down and get back in the groove. And it might take him a couple of laps to do that. But fighting a loose race car, at least right now.
Oh, Tyler Dalton with a scary moment just now off the turn 4. The car got wicked loose. Nick Cohan really putting the pressure on, trying to rattle his cage just a bit. Dalton knows he's there. Cohan getting the run off the turn. Going to try and drag him, pick up this toe right down into turn 3. Cohan getting a little bit itchy there. Would like to maybe try and get this spot from him.
You know, one thing I noticed in practice that's turning out to be different in the race is in practice, a lot of guys were having problems off turn 2 once the tires had a few laps in them. But right now, it seems like a lot of guys, once we started the race, are having problems off turn 4. So the opposite end of the racetrack. You know, is that kind of what you're seeing too?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're seeing that develop.
Oh, here we go. Tyler Dalton gets almost. I don't think he got stuck a piece of paper between him and the wall. That is going to allow Cohan to get a good look on the inside, and he is going to take the lead going into 3. Tyler Dalton's got to be careful here. He might lose second position, Jeff Ward, but he's able to get on the gas and inch away from Jeff Ward. And now he's going to have to settle for second behind Nick Ohan as Nick Ohan leads that lap.
You know what? Tyler spent a lot of laps up there up front. This might be a good time to follow for just a few minutes. Maybe let those tires cool off just a bit. Give himself a little bit of a break here and just follow, the wing here of Nick Cohan. Take a few laps off, but be careful to not give that position away to Jeff Ward.
These guys will be coming up on a lap car here in just a few laps. That lap car being Matt Murphy, who was involved in that last accident there. So they're going to have to start thinking about that, have to start thinking about how they're going to work their way around lap traffic. And that can be a problem here at Gateway, where it really seems like with these Monster Energy Cup cars that they really don't like other lines all that much. So that might be a little bit of negotiation, especially if you have to negotiate lap cars in the middle of the pack. Oh, got a car around coming out at 2. Yellow flag is out.
Oh, trouble for Calvin Filarski.
Start the replay here, see exactly what happened to him.
Oh, a little bit. I think he had a little bit of help from Gerald Livingston. It was ever so slight, but you saw there on the replay a little bit of contact with the quarter panel.
Yeah, that looked almost a lot like the Bob Wright Thomas George incident just a little while ago. Gerald Livingston drifts just a little high, gets into him. Thankfully, it doesn't look like much contact was made. Just kind of a little bit of damage to the tires there.
You know who was really, really happy to see that caution flag? It was Josh King, because he was dropping like a rock. He was one of those drivers that had the let's just say the old tires were not working out for him at all, and he had continued to drop through the field all the way back to 13th there, and he is now in the pit with everybody else.
Well, I don't think there's going to be any question about what's going to happen here on pit road. Everybody's going to be taking 4 fresh Goodyears here. Now the race will be off pit road. We'll talk about your lucky dog here in just a moment, but we'll watch the race off pit road right now.
Dalton, your leader, up on the jack. All 4 tires, like you said.
Oh, is that Cohan?
Scrupa.
Cohan gets it.
Yazik? Nick Cohan. I'm all right. Scrupa's not even here.
That was a really tight race there between Dalton and Yazik coming out the pit road there. So great job on them. Okay, your coastal safety auditors, Lucky Dog, will bring out Brutus. Brutus, so far, he's not one of the casualties here for tonight. He's still out there wheeling away on his little G27 there. That's going to go to Adam Littell. Now, Adam, you were 8 laps down, but you were able to get a lap back. But that's one thing. I keep referencing the truck race the other night because it's showing a lot of similarities between how this race is playing out. You could stand to get a lot of laps back in that position right now for Adam Littell. So right now, 7 laps down. We'll keep an eye on him throughout the night. Nick Cohan's going to retain the lead after the pit cycle. Tyler Dalton, with that tight race with Yazik coming off pit road, Tyler Dalton will start in the outside of the first row. Yazik and then Ward and then Ricky Harden rounding out your top 5 after the pit stops.
Yeah, that was a nice run. I was really happy to see the guys get that in. Certainly still not near what they can do on a full tank of fuel here. But several cars were struggling, Adam, and I think that was. I don't think you could have scripted that any better. I think that was a caution flag they definitely needed.
Absolutely, and that's and not only that, you do have a couple of cars out there, um, that are contenders. For instance, Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan was falling back. He's got some damage on his vehicle that allows him to come on pit road, maybe try to work on their cars a little bit more. So there's a couple of guys out there that probably wouldn't mind seeing a few more cautions, as long as they're not the caution, to be able to just get a little bit more repair done, and that's going to be key for them. But at the same time, you got guys up there that we know are long run guys that do not want to see cautions, and I think one of those right now is going to be your leader, Nick Cohan. I don't think he wants to see another caution for the rest of the day. We saw that he looked pretty strong there, didn't he? There at the tail end of that run, Sean.
Yeah, he really did. The car actually seemed to be getting better, and that's scary. When your opponent, when you see one of your opponents getting better as the run goes on, that generally means you've been working too hard and he's been waiting to put the work in. So as we get here side by side and around the track, I can't wait to see this restart go off. Cohan going to start it from the point. I'll be interested to see what kind of move Yazik makes here on this restart. He has spent way too much time riding back there. I know Yazik would like to get out front and deal with some of that clean air. That's where he prefers to be.
Well, we definitely know he has a strong car and just looking for an opportunity to show it, and he was another one of those guys at that last little bit that was starting to show. Going into turn 3, we'll be going back to green here in just a minute, just waiting for that pace car to pull off. Your front row, once again, will be Cohan and then Dalton, then behind them will be Yazik and Ward, and behind them will be Harden and Johnston as we get ready to go back to green here. The pace car is pulled off. And there they go. Cohan gets a great start, another great start out of Nick Cohan. And he is away. He's going to be able to slide back up the track and take the preferred line going into turn 1. Yazik's got his hands full with Tyler Dalton on the outside of him. Yazik's going to dive into the inside. He's going to try to get as good of a run as he can coming off too, but he is still side by side with Dalton.
Oh, and Drew Carroll all the way down to the bottom gets a move on Bob Bryant. They are side by side back here battling for 9th place. Carroll still down on the inside. Bryant, Woodrow Mahan right up in front. Carroll with a great restart that time.
Yeah, these guys jockeying for position back there, really from about 2nd place on back, as Yazik completely clears Dalton here, and then back behind there, from just about everybody else, once again still fighting for position. The only one that's really kind of running away with things is Nick Cohan up front, who now has an 0.8 of a second lead on 2nd place, Brian Yazik. But that's what Yazik wants to see. He wants to see clean air in front of him, at least to the leader's rear bumper, and he has that right now. So the question becomes, who's going to have the better car as we go through? So right now, you got to go back to 7th position, where you're looking at Drew Carroll and Bob Bryant now running side by side. But it looks like Drew Carroll might get the better of the position here coming out of 2. Now he's going to be able to keep that left front fender right there. As Woodrow Mahan kind of drifts up a little bit high. Look at Bob Bryant, he kind of cuts down low to be able to miss Woodrow Mahan, who once again slides up high, but that's going to allow Drew Carroll to get around Woodrow Mahan. So Drew Carroll now is going to move up into 7th position, Woodrow in 8th, and then Bob Bryant.
He's around. Can he save it? He's going to save it. He's going to save it. He got it. He got it. He got it. He saved it.
Wow. Terrific wheel job by Drew Carroll there. You saw him sawing on that wheel. Man, he having to fight to keep that car. Wow, great save.
He was swatting flies, baby.
I'd like to get a replay of that if we could, Amjad, here real quick. Well, we'll keep an eye on the action here, the live action, but just a little bit of context, see what it did to him.
Yeah, and he got a little bit of damage on that left rear quarter panel now because of that contact. And but boy, what a job saving that car. You're seeing the replay on screen here. Oh,
that was about as sideways as you can get a Monster Energy Cup car and still be able to bring it back to a straight line eventually.
Yeah.
Terrific piece of driving there by Drew Carroll. But he does lose positions out of it. He does drop back to 11th position as things are kind of calming down a little bit amongst that group that was racing really hard earlier, as things have kind of gone nose to tail.
Bob Bryant. Bob Bryant battling here with Woodrow. Bob been battling all night with everybody. He's got that Chevrolet down on the bottom there. A good classic Ford Chevy matchup right here. Woodrow got the advantage there up top. Bob going to slip in behind, try and pick up a little bit of toe. Ooh, almost makes contact there through the turn. Watch out for Rick Thompson just behind here.
I'm going to say this, Sean. Every time I say they're starting to go nose to tail, somebody decides to try to make it interesting again. So remind me of that here in about 50 laps if we need it. But Bob Bryant running a little bit of a high line. It looks like he kind of stalls out just a little bit.
Woodrow!
Hold on.
Woodrow's loose.
Woodrow's kind of coming back across the track.
Boy,
Is it going to miss him?
That's going to bring out the caution, unfortunately.
We're going to look what happened here to him. Going into turn 2 here. Did he get loose on the exit at 2?
Yeah, he did.
He did. And then it overcorrected and shot across the track, and I think everybody managed to miss him.
I'm in shock right now.
Okay, so being told we need to go to a quick break, we'll be right back. Okay, so interesting move here. Bob Bryant took 2 tires. He's going to restart this field in the lead. So we'll have to see where that gets him compared to everybody else. But Nick Cohan did win the race off pit road. Yazik ended up in 3rd overall. Jeff Ward in 4th and Tyler Dalton in 5th. So that's going to be your top 5 when we go back to green here in just a moment as these cars are heading down the back straightaway. So what do you think about this move here by Bob Bryant there, Sean?
I think it has potential to backfire on him. I don't know. We'll see. But you know what? Bob's been charging really hard all night. So you know what? If anybody can make it work, it may be Bob Bryant. So look for a good start here by Nick Cohan, though. Here we go.
All right, indeed, as soon as he can, he gets on the power, immediately slides on up to the right lane and in front of Nick Cohan, who both him and Bob Bryant are able to clear the cars behind him. Nick Cohan slides into second place. Bob Bryant taking a slightly higher line than Nick Cohan, going through 1 and 2. So it ends up being Bryant, Cohan, and Yazik, your top 3, and they start going 2 wide back behind Jeff Ward in 4th.
Tyler Dalton in a really good battle now with the 54, Tim Johnston. They are door-to-door coming off the turn. Both got to hold on to it. Really good job for both of them getting off the turn 4 there. Dalton digging down on the bottom.
Ooh, slides up a little bit.
Maybe just a little paint there. A little bit, maybe.
No harm, no foul. Both guys are able to continue on. That's once again Tyler Dalton and Tim Johnston. They're running side by side as Johnston, I think, kind of lets go of the battle a little bit. But Rick Thompson sees that, takes advantage of the situation, dives off to the inside of Tim Johnson, and now is going to fight him for 6th position. And Drew Carroll looking to try to make things interesting. I got to think, was Drew Carroll thinking about making it 3 wide for a second there? Glad that didn't happen, as he ends up being able to take away 7th position away from Rick Thompson. And now Drew Carroll has his eyes set on Tim Johnston.
I think we got a battle for the lead up front.
Yeah, here comes Nick Cohan, slides underneath Bob Bryant. Yazik is going to go ahead and take that as well. So now Bob Bryant slides back to 3rd. He's got Jeff Ward now hot on his bumper. Jeff Ward's going to get a look going into 1. In fact, Bob Bryant ends up just letting him by going into turn 1. So Bob Bryant slides back to 4th and ends up now with Jeff Ward in 3rd. And Yazik in 2nd, and now Nick Cohan in 1st. But he has got a very, very fast Brian Yazik behind him now.
Don't mess with the Cohan, baby. Don't mess with him. He's off to a great run here, but guess what? Brian Yazik seems to have found his mojo again here, Adam, as we are now just a little over 30 laps away from the halfway point. Yazik wants to keep himself positioned up front. Hey, right now, we could go to that halfway point bonus without a caution flag. It's going to be an awful long run for these guys, but Yazik got himself in position to be a contender for those bonus points.
Yeah, don't forget, the top 10 are awarded bonus points in the Premier Racing League for being in the top 10 at that halfway mark. So that adds a little incentive to these guys to try to get up front early and try to stay up front from that point on. So you're looking at anybody, especially in that battle around 10th position, because you've got some tight points battles going on. These guys want to get every point they can get in this season. All right, so Jeff Ward has not been able to shake Bob Bryant here just yet. It seems like once Bob Bryant kind of lost first and let a few guys go, kind of got the groove back, and now he's fighting hard right on the back end of Jeff Ward.
Listen, you know, there is one driver we haven't talked about a bunch. As we're right on board with Jeff Ward. You see that great view out back. He is definitely being hunted down right up on the bumper there. Bob Bryant is giving him a run. We haven't talked much about James Krahula, having a very, very quiet race right now. The number 4 NP3 Design Chevrolet is up 13 spots to 10. He's tracking on his old buddy Ricky Harden right now. James just been kind of riding around. It always scares me when James riding around because he's got himself into the top 10. You know what? This could be a great opportunity for Mr. Krahula to get him a big win tonight.
You know, it always kind of reminds me of one of those guys like old Terry Labonte in the Cup Series, where, you know, you never really talked about it all until you get to about the last quarter of the race, and it's like, where has he been? When did he get up here? No, he's been up here the entire time. You just didn't know it. So we'll be keeping our eye definitely on James Krahula here as we go through the rest of the night. But he's got a couple cars fighting hard in front of him with Ricky Harden up there fighting with Rick Thompson. Rick Thompson lost a few spots just a moment ago. You saw that. And now Ricky Harden trying to steal one more away from him, trying to get up into 8th position. Up in front of these guys right now, it does look like it might be the battle on the racetrack if Ricky Harden's able to get up there and maybe force the issue a little bit with Rick Thompson. Yeah,
Ricky really getting a nice run through the center right now. That's going to be making tough for Rick Thompson to hold him off. They are having a really good battle. In fact, look for Harden to maybe try and. Ooh, boy, Harden really gets out of it. Breaks a lot sooner than Thompson does, but Thompson running up the track, Harden turning that car down to the inside, trying to make it bite. It won't. Has trouble really getting grip off of the turn there, Adam. And you know what? Thompson doing what he needs to do to just keep him in the mirror right now. Ricky seems to be fighting the car just a little bit.
Well, we have just a quick quieter moment. We don't need to go anywhere or anything, but just want to mention on that last caution, we had a little bit of a technical problem. We did get a chance to mention that Adam Littell, once again, got the Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog. So Brutus chased him on around the track and was able to gain one of his laps back just a little while ago. So right now, hey, you know what? We're just a little bit over 50 laps into this thing. They are running nose to tail for the most part. Let's go and quickly run through the field, talk about everybody here real quick. At least it's still on the lead lap. Nick Cohan up front. Nick Cohan's led most of the night here so far. Pretty good performance. But you got to look just behind him with Brian Yazik. Is Yazik back there just biding his time at this point? How strong of a car does Yazik have, and is he going to be able to put on any more pressure on Nick Cohan here over the next couple of laps? Falling back just a little bit now, about a second back behind these two, you'll find Jeff Ward. Hey, you know, a couple of restarts ago, we never really explored it again, but it's worth mentioning. The question was that damage on the back end of Jeff Ward's car going to affect him? And I think the short answer is right now, Sean, is no. I think he's doing just fine. If anything, it made him a little bit faster. So Jeff Ward's out there holding his own. Behind him, Bob Bryant. Bob restarted this race up front by gambling and taking just 2 tires, and so far I'd say it's actually working out for him. He's able to hold his own inside the top 5. Hey, Sean, go ahead and talk about the next top 5. Or next 5.
Okay, well we'll go back to Drew Carroll, because that's where the field splits. That's the next battle, is 6th back to 10th, and it's Drew Carroll leading those boys down into turn 1 once again with a very hard charging Tim Johnston right behind him. Johnston now has himself up to 7th. He started in 8th, and Johnston off to a great first half of this race, has him positioned well to pick up those bonus points. Then we'll go back to Rick Thompson. He up 6 spots, sits in 8th right now. The American Pool Supply Ford looking strong here. The car is still straight, looks pretty clean. He's going to try and, again, keep himself in the top 10 here for these points. Then we'll go back to Ricky Harden. The North Star Chevrolet. Ooh, getting overtaken by James Grahula right now, actually on screen. Give that spot to Grahula. Oh, the yellow's out.
We're hearing something about Jetty. Jetty, I see him sitting against the wall there. See what happens here as we go to our replay. Did he get a little bit of help? Yeah. Oh, and that's pretty significant contact into that outside turn 1-2 wall. So that's
it's a bit of a tank slapper,
which drops him out. I believe he was running in about 11th or 12th when this happened here. So tough break as he makes contact with Devin Cannon and it slides into that wall. That's just a hard hit. That's the kind of hits that kind of make you cringe just a little bit. But, so he'll be finding himself on pit road here. He's able to drive it around right now, but he'll be on pit road before too long. And you got to think, once again, all these guys going to be coming down pit road, and we've had a couple of good races off pit road here tonight. So here we go again.
Hey, guess who's on pit road? Everybody.
Yeah, what a surprise there, right?
Yeah, well, you know what? They had put that was about a 17-lap run on those tires, that fuel, and I think everybody.
I think I could make a pretty good guess here that Bob Bryant isn't going to take just 2 tires this time.
Yeah, I'm thinking not. In fact, I'd be really surprised if anybody does 2 only right here. This could be the charge right here that for that halfway bonus. When we get restarted, we'll only have, I think, about 19 laps, 18 to 19 laps to go to get that bonus. So, what a race off of pit lane
there. It is. Yazik getting that off pit road. And not to mention the fact that Bob Bryant was able to get back around Jeff Ward on pit road. So I think finding that interesting. All right, Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog is going to go once again. Adam Blattel. As Brutus, he's on that rear bumper. He's just making sure he catches back up to the field here as quickly as he possibly can. But Adam Blattel, I mentioned after the first caution, when we first gave him the lucky dog earlier on tonight, that we are going to have to watch how many laps he gets back thanks to the lucky dog. He started with 8. He's down to 5. So we'll see just how many more he can get back here before the end of the night. But what a race off pit road. So you see 2 of your top 5 positions change hands because of action on pit road. That's something that I don't think we've seen in a little while, Sean, is if we end up with a late race restart, could pit road change the complexion of everything?
Ooh, yes, absolutely. We keep seeing battles like that off the pit road. Yeah, I think so. Yazik though with a really good pension for keeping that car up front, and now he's exactly where he wants to be. They get to start this race on point, down on the inside. All he's got in front of him is the clean air. It's what I talked about earlier. This is a perfect opportunity for him to go on a run. Take this bonus here at the halfway point, and maybe ride off into the sunset. That blue oval is going to be fast tonight. He was fast in practice. He was fast in qualifying, and well, now he's at the front. He's got some pretty good dudes right behind him. We'll see here on this restart, but Yazik looking that car now with the Amsoil sponsorship on it this evening. Is, like I said, I think he's going to be tough to beat down the stretch.
Well, that is just, this is not the guy you want to see at the front of this field if you're everybody else. I'll tell you that right now. We saw it at the truck race the other night. Mm-hmm. This guy can restart. And I think you're getting ready to see that here. Of course, mentioned Amsoil, the race sponsor here for tonight. This is the Amsoil 200 for the Patriot Fire Cup Series, and of course put on by the Premier Racing League. And Amsoil, if you're not too familiar with Amsoil, well, you should be if you're a race fan. But they did a lot of stuff up north when I was going to college up in northern Wisconsin and in eastern Minnesota there, and I think the Superior Raceway in Superior, Wisconsin, they Amsoil bought the naming rights to that. They got a big facility up there, so I like seeing Amsoil around as much as I possibly can, and good to see them out there here taking care of the Premier Racing League folks here for tonight. So race car, the lights are out. We're getting ready to go back green here as we head off into turn 3 with the field side by side. Your top 5 coming back to the line is going to be Yazik, Cohan, Bryant, Ward, and Carroll. That will be your top 5 when they take the green flag here in just a moment. The blue machine up front, that is Yazik. The white machine alongside of him, that is Cohan. And they are getting ready to go once again. Yazik is on the hammer, but you know what? Cohan is going to try to match him on the restart game. They are going to be side by side going down into 1. I do see a car in the back of the pack riding the inside wall. I don't know if there was an incident back there or anything, but we are still under green. Yazik is away. He's doing his best to pull away. He is going to be able to slide up in front of Cohan, but Cohan actually has just a little bit of momentum here, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get him alongside of him going into 3. So it's going to shake out with Yazik, Cohan, and Ward, your top 3, as we get ready to complete lap 1 after the restart. I think behind them, I think Carroll's going to work out here into 4th position.
Yeah, Carroll is, but not before he had a battle there with Bob Bryant. And Bryant had to back off and give to Drew Carroll, but Drew Carroll sitting solidly in 4th place. Ooh, just a little bit loose off the turn there, but he does hang on to it. Bob Bryant, again, just behind him there in 5th. Bryant with a strong move into the corner, rides right up on Carroll there, and that was awful close. Bryant being chased by Tim Johnson, and then there's James Grahula, just keeps picking up spots there, Adam. He is now up to 7.
So James Grahula showing a little bit of speed out there here for today. We were talking about it, how we hadn't talked about him too much in the early stages of this race, but he's starting to make his presence known and starting to pass a few cars. He's got Tim Johnston now in front of him in that white and blue machine. And he's going to be taking a look on the outside of him, maybe for a little bit of a power move. Nah, I think's better of it. Turn 4, probably really not the place to do that anyway. So James Kahula doing this smartly at that. So look for him to continue to try to be a factor here for tonight. I will say this also, that the field, kind of started to straighten out just a little bit faster than what it had. I'm not saying string out. We've got a lot of cars running nose to tail, but they are still nose to tail. I'm not sure. Was that somebody getting loose back there coming off of turn 4 just a moment ago? Go back and look at that. But right now on your screen, you do have Kevin Filarski out there in that 28 machine. He's recovering quite well, I might add, from that spin just a little while ago.
Hey, and you know who's back after really struggling after having some early successes? Joshua King. King back up to 15th after falling all the way back through the field. He's got a nice battle going with Devin King, trying to get himself here into the top 10. But Joshua King back up to what looks to be about full speed again. A little bit of damage on the right side, but that car seems to be turning well. He's giving good chase to Cannon right now, and Cannon's got Woodrow Mahan just in front of him. None of those positions are decided yet. And just up in front of them, you've got Randy Yoakum. We haven't talked about him. He's giving good chase to Filarski right now. Going to look to the inside here. Heading down into turn 3. Going to try and take that position away from Calvin.
You mentioned that had a little bit of right side damage there. I just quickly ran through the top couple cars and tried to spot them out a little bit. And I honestly think that there's 4 cars in the top 10 that are completely scratch free right now. And I think that's Yazik, Kohan, and surprise here, James Krahula, and then Tyler Dalton. I don't think those 4 cars have a scratch on them, at least yet. It kind of those early race accidents, kind of bottle people up just a little bit out there. But those cars definitely still being clean, and clean right now seems to be fast.
Listen, Krahula is just cruising, baby. I told you this before. He is just out there cruising, having a nice, solid ride around here right now. He is just really now only just a few laps away, 11 laps away from securing top 10 bonus points, and he's done it from coming all the way from the back of the pack. Great drive by Krahula here so far. Now he is being chased by Tyler Dalton, who is, of course, dropped back through the field here as the pits cycles have gone around. But Dalton got to try and get his way back to the front here. Does he have anything left for the contenders of this race? We're going to find out soon.
Well, right now, up front, you still have Yazik still holding his own. But we got a battle for P4 shaping up. I think Jeff Ward lost a little bit of momentum a little while ago, and that's allowed Tim Johnson to get on the inside of him. But Jim Johnson is going to back out a little bit. But as he backs out, he's going to have to fight off Bob Bryant right behind him. Bob Bryant's going to go ahead and try taking a look on the outside. And he's got to hold the outside here, trying to go through 4. I think Johnson gets a little bit better off on that on turn 4. It's going to be able to pull back ahead of Bob Bryant. That does have a tendency to try to do a little bit of an accordion effect, because as he had to back off, as Rob Bryant had to back off of Johnston, guess who that allowed to catch up a little bit to the back bumper of Bryant? That would be James Krahula, who could very well try to go for 6th position here before too long, especially if things start to shape up in front of him as far as those guys trying to fight it out.
Look at the run he's starting to get on Bob Bryant, man. James really, well, I'll tell you what, looking solid. And I know James, working with new equipment, he's got a new wheel, he's got new pedals, and he's still adapting to those. But boy, considering where he came from, the old archaic equipment he was working with, one seems to think once he figures it out, he is going to be one tough driver to beat week in and week out. And be careful when Krahula finds his groove. That's going to be bad news for the rest of this field. And again, making up ground here on Bryant as they head out of the turn.
Well, there they go, but we are starting to get in a little bit deeper into this run now. This is the time when tires start to try to wear out a little bit on you, and your car starts sliding around, and maybe, you also start to feel a little brave at times if your car is handling particularly well. So as things look a little bit calm out there right now, you can rest assured it probably won't stay that way for very long. Of course, right now you're looking at Nick Cohan and Brian Yazik, those guys up front. Right now, Yazik, we knew this would be trouble if he got out in front. Indeed it is. He's opened up that lead on Cohan to about 0.7 of a second. And then they have, Cohan has about a 1.2 second lead, I believe. Now, opening up to about 2 seconds, over Drew Carroll. That gap continues to open up and widen up as well. Drew Carroll, of course, he got that position from Jeff Ward just a few minutes ago, but you still see Jeff Ward on your screen. We also see Tim Johnston back there as well also. So those are your top 5 right now as they run on the racetrack. Sean, what are you seeing out there on your end?
You know what? With 6 laps to go to the halfway point, what I'm seeing is the top 10 broken away from the rest of the field. The top 10, now the positions within the top 10 may change, but the top 10 looks like it's pretty well decided because it's a 3.5 second battle back to 11th, and it's a battle indeed. Woodrow Mahan having a really good run. He's the man in the middle, though. Really fighting with clean air right now. It's a good situation for Mahan. Maybe he can catch Ricky Harden and Rick Thompson and get up there and battle a little bit, but Mahan has checked out on the group behind him of Calvin Filarski, Randy Yoakum, who's now making a move on Filarski down to the inside there into 1. And you also see Devin Cannon back there in the 83. He's still running. Joshua King still digging. He's up to 14th now. Oh boy. Yep, Ricky Harden in trouble, guys.
So just because you said the top 10's locked up, I think now we're gonna have a race off pit road to decide it. So Ricky Harden, hard contact in that outside wall.
Yeah,
that's a tough break.
That's going to be tough, and honestly, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but the car he was running fine through the turn. And does it maybe get a little bit tight? He tries to correct it, and boom. Wow.
So anyway,
he knocked it down.
Now we know that we're going to have another battle here on pit road. So we'll get to that. We'll talk about your lucky dog just a second. I can tell you it's not going to be Adam Littell. Spoiler alert. We'll talk about him here just so what happened to him in a moment. But here come those guys down pit road.
And they're all coming down pit road. Look who's staying out there.
Ooh, and Tommy Ryan. Okay, interesting move.
Tommy Ryan, though, unfortunately, Tommy's a lap down.
Hey, you're spoiling my lucky dog here.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Sorry about that, man.
Go ahead. You already did it.
Okay, well, our lucky dog then is going to be, the man that just peeled off and ran around the track there, Tommy Ryan, your Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog. Time to bring Brutus out. We'll bring him out after this. And
Jeff Ward, I think, might have nabbed second. I think Jeff Ward, at least out of the cars that came down pit road. No, Tyler Dalton was able to get ahead of Brian Yazik. Okay, so, but Jeff Ward was able to get around Drew Carroll. So, great job on him. All right, so there's your lucky dog. There's Brutus, Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog going to Tommy Ryan. Tommy, we knew he was going to be strong here today, but unfortunately got caught up in one of the early race accidents. He's just been out there doing his best, trying to stay on the lead lap the best he can. He lost the position on the lead lap a little while ago, but thankfully Brutus came out there, said, hey, go on around the pace car, buddy, I got you. So he's going to be able to get back up on the lead lap. Now Adam Littell, we were watching him, we were wondering how many laps was he going to be able to get back. Well, there he is on pit road. I regret to inform you that one of the cars that I saw dive onto the inside of the track after that last restart was Adam Littell, because he ended up diving to the inside of the racetrack and getting out of the way because his engine blew. So he is done for the night, unfortunately.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Tough to see him go. And you know what? He can grab a ticket in a little red machine over there and stand to the left with everybody else. Has had a little bit of trouble this evening. It's unfortunate to see the attrition. As I look up at the front of the field here, I see two drivers taking a pretty big risk here. But I think it's going to pay off for one of them in lieu of halfway bonus points. But John Wilco, we haven't talked about the Pennsylvania driver at all. He decides not to come in. Going to try and get himself some points here. That's going to make the restart very, very interesting for Krahula and Wilco here.
Yeah, I have to think that might have been just too many laps for those guys, and I hate to see James start to lose everything that he fought so hard to gain here just a little bit. Okay, so we are now at lap 80. So I think it's safe to say who the American Pool Supply halfway awards are going to. American Pool Supply, of course, they also sponsor the Truck Series here at the Premier Racing League. So thanks to them and being able to run and help support the Premier Racing League Series. And as we were talked about a little while ago, the top 10 is special here because these guys in the top 10 right now, which I'll name them off here real quick. It's Krahula, Wilco, and that might have been part of the reason why is try to get a few points for their Krahula and Wilco, knowing that the halfway was coming. But Krahula, Wilco, Dalton, Yazik, Cohen, Ward, Carroll, Johnston, King, and Thompson. That is your top 10 right now. So that is your American Pool Supply top 10 award winners there for halfway. All right, getting ready to go back to green. Lights are off the pace car, heading into turn 3. Now the question is how's this restart going to go for Krahula and Wilco on old tires?
Krahula on the radio asking for a little bit of patience from his competitors. Here we go.
Of course, Krahula fighting to get into the top 10 in the point standing, so that might have been a good move for him. But it looks like Yazik was going to move Wilco out of the way just a second ago. That got a little tight there in a hurry. You see Wilco drifting up high. He's in the wall hard. Everybody should be able to scoot by him on the inside as long as he keeps it up there. But Krahula is already going to lose that lead. There goes Dalton. Yazik's going to try to get around him here as they head off into 3. And Wilco looks like he was still bouncing off the wall back there. But look at Ward. Ward's going to dive in there.
Where did he come from?
Going for second. Krahula just backs out of the gas. He's coasting along the wall. But wow, what a power move from Jeff Ward there.
Krahula drops all the way to the end of the field after grabbing that wall up top there. But boy, where did Jeff Ward come from, man?
From about 4th or 5th place, I think is where he came from. So he definitely charged up there, but he is up there now. I think that was by design by Krahula, and I think he's going to be counting on another caution here to kind of get him back in cycle with everybody else. We saw that he could gain some positions, though, so he might eventually be okay as long as he can get a yellow here. So Dalton now up in front of this race, followed by Jeff Ward with that power move just a second ago. And you got Yazik behind him, and then Cohen back there as well. Drew Carroll rounds out your top 5 coming back to green here. So Jeff Ward trying to show he has a little bit of strength here as he's going to go ahead and you see him peeking that nose, seeing what's underneath Tyler Dalton, maybe trying to get a little clean air on that nose as getting ready to head into 3. But you look at Yazik back there. Yazik is thinking about making a power move of his own, thinks better of it and backs out of it, is they'll just run nose to tail here going down the front straightaway.
I'll tell you what, Jeff Ward having a solid run, and the Chevrolet, the Bose Chevrolet this evening, and Yazik bringing the fight to him, though, trying to rattle him, get him a little nervous. I don't think you're going to do that to Jeff Ward. Jeff, one of the best drivers out there, and if you're trying to shake him up a bit, I think that's a bad strategy. But Yazik digging, can't seem to find the line. Going to close on him here, but he's going to lose. When they get off the turn, it does look like Ward is getting the power down just a little bit better right now in Tyler Dalton's toe.
I don't. We all know Yazik is strong. So he might just be biding his time at this point, but he knows he doesn't need to force the issue to be able to get around him here. So I'd say look for some patience here. I mean, we only just now passed halfway in this race with all those early cautions kind of eating up a little bit of time there. And so here we go. We'll see what happens here. As looks like about the top 7 or 8 cars are nose to tail.
I think Yazik would like to see the front of this field again in the clean air, sir. That car just doesn't... See, he gets the run, there on Ward and then has to get out of it. He doesn't like this situation. He doesn't want to follow. Yazik's a leader, not a follower. And right now, following, not a good situation for him. He can't do anything here. He's stuck. Boy, Ward really putting the pressure on Dalton here. Going to try and make a move. Look
Ooh,
at
there we
Yazik
go.
going to the
There's the power
inside.
move. Ooh, be careful. Ward's going to be able to drive around Dalton. In fact, Ward, you can see him, the back end of his car step out as soon as he got back on the power. But here we go, battle for the lead. Drag race going down the back straightaway. And Jeff Ward's going to drift up a little bit, loses momentum, but he's back on the power early, maybe even a little bit before Tyler Dalton. We're going to go do another trip. Ooh, Tyler Dalton scraped the wall somehow or another. I don't think it cost him any speed at all. But Yazik is on the back bumper at Jeff Ward. If Jeff Ward's able, Jeff Ward gets a little loose going into one. Woo, this is exciting. And he's able to slide up in front of Tyler Dalton. He's going to take the lead here. Yazik tries to follow in his tire tracks, unable to do so at least at this point. So he's having to fight his own way around Yazik. Oh, don't forget, you got Nick Cohan back there, only second in the points this season. He's fighting tooth and nail right now to try to get up there as well along Tyler Dalton. And so you got a pretty good chunk of your top 10 in points sitting right up here in the top 5 right now.
Here comes Brian Yazik. He was able to pull off the pass finally on Dalton. Now he's got to work on Jeff Ward. Ward up there fighting just to hang on to the car coming off of turn 2. They head down the backstretch into 3. It's Jeff Ward, your leader. Brian Yazik giving heavy chase right now. Nick Cohan still trying to complete the pass on Tyler Dalton. I think he has, coming off of 4. Give third to Nick Cohan as they head back across the line. Now Dalton having to deal with an aggressive Drew Carroll trying to take that position away. Continue to drop Tyler Dalton through this field.
Which is unfortunate for Tyler Dalton. He does have a strong car, but he's just kind of ended up kind of in an odd position there and is just trying to have to hang on, at least here right now. So up front, that's going to lead, once again, Jeff Ward, but he's got Yazik right on his rear bumper. Yazik is as you know, isn't going to let him go, and we do know that he has the car to lead this race, not only lead this race, but potentially pull away with it if he is able to get around Ward. And don't think for a second that Ward doesn't know that. So he's going to make it as hard as possible here on Yazik to try to get around him here.
Yeah, and again, certainly not Ward's intention, but I'm going to be honest. I think he's holding Yazik up just a little bit. Yazik likes to run this track a little bit differently. Again, though, pulling off the pass, not easy. Now Nick Cohan has inserted himself back into this battle. He was actually able to get away from Drew Carroll. And, Cohan going to be back here fighting for this top spot here on this run.
Yeah, Dalton losing a few more positions here. Now he's going to lose the spot to Johnston. And it looks like Rick Thompson also had his nose underneath, but he backs out before they hit the back straightaway. So Dalton continuing to lose spots in that Haviland machine after leading this race just a little while ago.
Your top 3, line astern. They're looking good. And you know what? Now Drew Carroll has kind of found a little bit of separation himself from the rest of the field. Drew Carroll starting to burn down some pretty good laps here and close the gap on Nick Cohan just a little bit.
You know, it's funny. I think that right now your slowest guy in the top 5 might actually be Jeff Ward, as amazing as that sounds, but it's not by a whole lot. Those guys right now are he's still putting down some pretty good lap times, as all these guys. I think these guys right now are probably running some of the best consistent laps they have all race long. Now we kind of got to have a little bit of a run, a very fast run here as well. But just as I say that, Jeff Ward does run a little bit high. Yazik's able to get his nose underneath. Is he able to make anything of it? No. Tucks back in behind the draft underneath that rear spoiler. It doesn't lose too much time, doing that, so he should be able to stay back there. It might have just been one of those little peaks to let him know that he's there, but he itches up on him. I think there might have been a little nudge there. It's like, hey, buddy, I'm here. Hey, do we have the Josh theme? What's going on?
Sorry, Josh King and Drew Carroll, Devin Cannon almost having a really, really big check up there in the middle of turn 3 and 4. those two battling hard, and man, it was calamity. But the big benefactor there was Ricky Harden, who is now pulled away from that battle. He was battling there with Josh King, Calvin Filarski, and Devin Cannon, and that check up there because of the almost near contact gives him the advantage. And I think we've got a replay of it, but it was a really, really tense moment coming through turns 3 and 4. And we've got that replay, I hear. Let's take a quick look at it. We'll take another look at it here real quick on the GSRC replay. Yeah, you see the 83 make that contact with the 35. It could have just, that could have been trouble. So many cars right behind that.
This is about the second or third time here that Brian Yazik has been able to get inside of Jeff Ward. He hasn't been able to hold it yet. Let's see if this time is any different. He actually has a better run, better look at the inside of it here this time, getting really close to that notch in the wall. Thankfully nobody hits, but Brian Yazik does have at least his nose out in front of Jeff Ward, but Jeff Ward has the momentum here coming off for us. He's able to get on the gas just a touch earlier, pulling away just a little bit. Cohan back there looking hungry. As Jeff Ward's been kind of slowing up Yazik, Cohan's been the one that's been kind of the benefactor of that. Don't forget Drew Carroll now back there, as it looks like Jeff Ward is now possibly might lose the lead. No, he fights back on the outside still. Yazik does have the fender well in front. He does have the lead, at least as of right now. Jeff Ward's still fighting back. Yeah, there we go. Now he's in danger of losing second position already to Nick Cohan. Nick Cohan back there looking hungry. Ooh, drop for a second there. Jeff Ward might slide into the wall, but he ends up not. And so Yazik back up front.
Now, watch him pull away. Okay, now he's got himself finally in front of Ward. He's going to pull away from Ward. Ward is really fighting that car every lap. The rear end on that car very loose. He's been working hard, turning a lot of laps up there, and well, I think he's maybe starting to use that stuff up just a little bit. This will be a chance for him to try and recover a little bit, maybe go back on the attack to Yazik. But again, Yazik's starting to open this up just a little bit. 0.2 of a second ahead. Rich Jetty in front, got to get by the lap car. Jetty looks like he's going to stay out of the way, but he's up in the wall. Ooh, got to be careful.
Still bouncing off the wall there in front of your leaders.
Boy, you hate to see that when you're in the car. You're a leader in that top 4, top 5, and somebody's dragging the wall up there. You never know if that car is going to shoot down off the wall in front of you.
Yeah, and they're going to have the lap car John Wilco to get around here in a moment as well, but you're looking for a battle for P2 right now, as Nick Cohan did have the inside look on Jeff Ward, but Jeff Ward able to fight him off at least this time. But we'll have to see what happens next time. John Wilco, you saw him start, up front just a little while ago, coming back to the green, but he has fallen way back, now getting lapped here by Brian Yazik and the rest of the leaders.
Well, the shame of that is that when we got restarted, Wilco had a clean race car. Unfortunately, that Toyota now has pretty good damage on the right front. He picked it up somewhere, and that has affected his pace. He's now going to find himself a lap down from our leaders.
I went back and looked, and it looks like it was when he got up into the wall right after that restart there when you saw him drift high. So that unfortunately has put significant damage on the front end of his car, and he just hasn't been able to hang on.
Well, you talk about significant damage. Brian Yazik starting to lay a little damage on the rest of the field. Again, the gap now about 0.4 of a second. Ward still back there fighting with the Cohan, and this is Cohan gets a run on him in the center, but he's got to back off. Ward playing really good defense here. I like what he's doing.
He's doing his best right now to get every little spot that he can. You know, we all know that Jeff Ward, a very strong, very good driver. He just kind of had a little bit of bad luck, especially earlier on in the season, but he's definitely holding his own here today. Right now, right out in front of Nick Cohan. Nick Cohan is going to go ahead and take a look going into one. We'll see if it's more than a look, but Jeff Ward does drift high. He gets kind of a little bit into that gray of the racetrack. He's able to get back down onto the power and be able to get that momentum, but that was a pretty significant look there by Nick Cohan. Eventually, Nick Cohan's going to get him with that move.
Eventually. You know, I'm going to say it again. I like what Ward's doing. He's seems to every lap, and he was doing this to Yazik, you know, he seems to break the momentum of that driver behind him by not just chopping the nose off of him, but just moving up the lane just a little bit, or moving down the lane just a little bit, cutting off those opportunities for his opponent to really find a run inside or outside on him. And that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work when you're doing it lap after lap after lap. Now this run closing in on 30 laps. We've got here this time by, I think we're going to have 55 laps to go.
Well, one of the storylines that we'd say we'd follow, especially in some of these longer runs, was talking about the tires. And, just for you folks out there that are interested in this type of thing, these guys do look like they've fallen off about a half second since we took the green flag on that last restart, which is getting, that was about lap 81 is when we took the green flag. So now about 24, almost 25 laps into this run, falling off about a half second a lap. So these guys fighting those old tires, and you're starting to see a few more cars out there slip sliding away.
Yeah, and you know, we've got to remember, we've got two cars out there that are now basically double what everybody else has got. You've got James Carula and John Wilco out there riding around now on 47 laps on fuel and tires, as they did not take that at the last caution. They didn't take that pit, so I imagine the pit window is open for them. I'm certainly begging for tires at this point.
Looking at somebody was in the wall. We believe it might have been Devin Cannon. If he didn't get the wall, he was awfully close. And now he's got Matt Murphy right on his back bumper. Both these cars were victims of some early race accidents. That's why they looked a little beat up, but still out there turning competitive laps at this point.
Boy, we talked about Tim Johnston enough and what he's managed to do right now. The Carolina driver sits comfortably in 5th place. And you know what? The USAA Blue Oval is all alone on track by himself. It's a lonely feeling there in the middle of the turn. He's got no help in front of him and certainly nothing to worry about behind but Bob Bryant, who sits now almost 2 seconds behind Tim Johnston. Johnson started in 8th tonight, again sitting in 5th. Gonna need a pit stop still to get this race finished. But you know what? A clean in and a great out will certainly go a long way to get Tim Johnson a top 5 finish tonight.
Yeah, and that's the kind of race he needs. He's been sitting right now 9th in the points. He did lose 2 spots in the points after Road America. Looking one case that case looked like Jeff Ward just decided discretion is the better part of valor and has decided to go ahead and let Drew Carroll have that spot. Didn't fight him like he did with Cohan there just a little while ago. So that makes your top 5 now: Yazik, Cohan, Carroll, Ward, and now Johnston.
And a quick update on James Carula. He did complete what should be his final pit stop. Just brought it in and just got it back out on his outlap now. You got John Wilco, who's still yet to pit. He's been out there for 51 laps on fuel and tires. Man, I don't even want to think about what this car is handling like with that many laps on these tires.
Not to mention that little bit of damage on the front end. I
Yeah.
imagine that thing is quite a bit of handful. And these cars becoming handfuls for all the drivers. Just looking through the windows and seeing how they're having to work the steering wheels, at least at this point, everybody is having to drive their vehicles. You know, one thing I'm kind of surprised that we're not seeing. Yazik has not been able to pull away on Kohan the way we thought he would, but we also saw on one of the longer green flags runs that we had earlier on in this race, that Kohan's car almost became stronger the longer the run went along, at least compared to everybody else. I think we might be seeing some of the same again here now.
I think you're absolutely right. In fact, that last time by, just about a tenth quicker than our leader, Brian Yazik. And again, you just said it right there. You know, Kohan's car seems to just do a little bit better on the longer run. This is the longest run we've had yet. In fact, I'm seeing drivers at the back of the field starting to take those last and final pit stops now. Calvin Filarski's in. Joshua King just finally took his pit stop. He's back out. John Wilco, though, still on track. That's I don't know what the strategy is there, but he is. That's some tough sledding in a damaged race car. A lot of laps.
Well, these guys right now are starting to see cars gradually coming on pit road or losing spots to the leader. Next car, by the way, that they'll have to contend with as far as being a lap down, it'll be Rich Jetty, who is about a straightaway ahead of these guys. And just as I say that, Kevin Filarski pulls off pit road, so the leaders will actually catch him first here in just a little bit. So we got smoke somewhere. It looks like somebody blow an engine. Who is that? I'm trying to find it for you. Rick Thompson. Rick Thompson's going to fall out of the top 10, it looks like, potentially with either a blown engine or he got into the... Oh, hold on. He had to have some sort of hardware failure or something.
Yeah, that car, it
goes
into
into turn
abnormal,
one,
didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it almost looks like it just went straight into the wall.
Something happened. That wasn't normal. We'll pick it up on the replay here real quick, but you can see what appears to be some sort of a technical failure for Rick Thompson. The car just turns right on him.
We'll get to it in a second, but just so everybody knows, Jeff Ward has started pit road as you see Rick Thompson just go flying off into that wall.
Yeah, his connection blinks out very quickly there on screen, and I wonder if that had something to do with it. But what a tough break for the American pool supply Ford there, and just a tough end of the night. He was having a really good run.
Okay, so Jeff Ward at this point has figured I could make it the rest of the way. I'm going to go ahead and come in and see what I've got with the rest of these guys. Just waiting for him to pull away at this point. I think he's getting every little bit of fuel that he can into the car to make sure he can go. We're still waiting on him to pull away. This is long. Hold on.
Yeah, something happened there, indeed.
I'm going to go back and look at his entry here, see if he sped at all.
Well, what I'm seeing is probably a 15-second penalty, which would indicate to me that he was too hot getting in.
He sped. It wasn't by much, but it was just enough to give him that penalty, and that's going to set him well back in the running order once things shake out here. But meanwhile, Tim Johnston coming in from 6th position. Just lost a 5th position, I believe, to Woodrow Mahan just a little while ago. Decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and come in also and go and get 4 fresh Goodyears and be able to get back to running here.
Adam, I love the way things are shaping up at the front of this field. Nick Kohan giving serious chase to Brian Yazik right now as the rest of the field starts making those final pit stops. These two keep battling each other. Now they're going to get up here with some traffic, and will we see positions change? Is Nick going to put the pressure on them here as they get closer to their pit window? I don't know. We'll have to see. Right now they have the 64. Gerald Livingston just in front of them. He coming out of his pit stop, and they'll have to deal with him now. Theoretically, you would think Livingston's going to be faster with the fresh tires, and it looks like that may be the case as Livingston's able to pull away just a bit. He's got Rich Jetty right up in front of him, but Nick Kohan right up on him here.
Hey, guess who finally came down pit road? John Wilco.
Wilco, finally.
What a long run there for John Wilco.
59 laps for John Wilco.
So, with that They get around the lap car, Rich Jetty. They will go back to actually see is that Randy Yoakum. Randy Yoakum there on pitting, coming down pit road. Your leader is right now staying out. That gap, remember just a little while ago, was about a half second. Then it was 4/10, then 3/10, and I think they've had it down to about a tenth here over the course of the last couple laps, trying to work their way around some of this traffic that's going on. Now, all these guys that are coming down pit road, as they come on pit road, there you go. Looks like Nick Cohan is going to go ahead and make that journey down. He comes down to pit entrance access road coming off of 3. And now the question is when Yazik is going to come in. You have to think with the difference between new tires and old tires, Yazik will have to come in this time by. Well,
I'm thinking so. Yeah, Adam, I agree with you. I think this is that's a safe bet because Yazik does not want to cost himself too much time here. We saw where, and he gets a little loose off of turn 2, and he calls for his pit stop.
So here he comes, sliding that car down the pit access road. You do not get a speeding. You do not want to get a speeding penalty. You saw what happened with Jeff Ward. You saw how much time he lost. As he woes it down, it does look like he was able to get it down underneath that 45-mile-an-hour speed limit just fine. You see Nick Cohan now pulling out as Brian Yazik comes in. So as things shape up, with that difference in lap times, maybe, just maybe, we'll see Yazik and Nick Cohan come out side by side here in just a moment. That is a long pit road. Yazik just now reaching his pit box. We're getting ready to see the left sides go up. Pit crew changing those tires. Lightning fast pit crew. Right sides get ready to go up here. Jackman swings around, and you already hear him revving the engine, get ready to go.
Wow. Cohan coming across the start-finish line right now. Yazik just now peeling out. This is going to be close. Oh, Yazik is digging there on the safety lane.
Yeah, he knows exactly the position he's in.
Side by side.
I was almost right. Almost side by side, but he is going to lose the lead here to Nick Cohan. So now he's going to go ahead and have to fight back and try to get that lead back over the course of the next couple laps. But he is charging hard already.
Oh, boy, oh boy. Almost. John Wilco gets the wall. Almost takes Yazik and Cohan with him. Yazik taking the lead away from Nick Cohan right there as a result of that.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so Johnson and Dalton are actually 1-2, but Yazik is actually in front. Dalton's actually in front of Yazik right now. Did Dalton pit yet? Okay. So a little bit of pit strategy going on here. These guys hopefully are probably thinking that. This might have been some of the difference between new tires and old tires coming out to light here. And also the fact that maybe a little bit of gamesmanship, so don't know exactly what the strategy is here with the pit stops, but we do know that those guys will probably want to caution with the difference in lap tires and take the track position.
Okay.
But right now, everybody's pretty spread out.
Johnston and Dalton about six laps more on their tires right now. They do have the advantage. Yazik and Cohan are going to have to catch him. We'll see. Now, we know what Cohan's been like on a long run. We still have 35 laps to go in this race. 34 now we're working on. It's going to be a little work here to catch Dalton. Then you got to get around him, and then you've got to get to work and go catch Tim Johnston. Johnston really having a nice run right now and not battling with anybody, Adam.
Yeah, and Johnson's had 6 top 10 finishes here so far this season, so we know that he can run up front, at least in the front half of the field, and trying to maybe pull away with a surprise win, put a win in the column there. But he's going to have to fight off some pretty hard-charging cars, as it looks like the likes of Dalton and Yazik and Cohan are getting a little bit larger in the mirror as time goes by here. So, but at the same time, this race quickly winding down with about 33 laps to go here. This thing will be over here before we know it. So the question is at what point do the tires start to even out between those 5 and 6 lap old tires?
I think in about 20 laps, to be honest with you. I think that's what we've seen consistently tonight. I think everybody on about the same playing field after about 20 laps. The car just becomes really, quite frankly, just too hard to drive. And everybody levels out at about 20 laps on the tires. But, let's see. Looks like Yazik has reeled in Tyler Dalton. We could be looking at a change in position here real quick.
And of course, what Johnston wants to see is Dalton give Yazik everything he has and try to hold him up as much as possible. So we'll see what Dalton's strategy is here too. But Johnston right now doing everything he can to try to stay up front, as it looks like Yazik's going to dive to the inside of Dalton coming off too. That might have been more of just trying to take a look. Nothing's there. Tucks back in behind him.
Yazik running a smart race here. He knows he still has plenty of time to pull this off. Honestly, Tim Johnston not getting away too quick. He's only about a second ahead here, so Yazik with a little bit of patience here should be able to complete this move on Dalton and then go get to work on our leader, Tim Johnston. It does look like actually they're starting to reel Johnston in just a bit. Johnston a lot slower on that lap, and here goes Yazik making a move down the backstretch.
Yeah, Johnston about a tenth slower than those two with Dalton and Yazik. But Yazik having a clean look here on the inside of 3. Dalton, I think, is still fighting hard back there, but Yazik is going to clear him, and now he's going to have his sights set on your leader, Tim Johnston.
Boy, could this be Yazik's week, man? Tell you what, we saw what he did in the truck Sunday night. Looking pretty good here, coming off the turn. That's the only job left he's got to do, and that is catch Tim Johnston. I like his chances. He was really fast on that last lap, a 32.9 compared to Tim Johnston's 33.1. Doesn't seem like it'll be long now. It's not a matter of if, but when. And then Dalton having to fight hard here because Cohan wants that spot.
And of course, as the old saying goes, catching is one thing, passing him is another. So we'll see how much fight Tim Johnston puts off here in just a few minutes, because Yazik is a-coming at this rate.
Cohan trying to pull off this move here on board with him. Dalton stuck up there top, and boy, Cohan going to take it away. Dalton maybe going to try and cross him over here. No, that's going to happen. Dalton got to settle in and drop behind. Dalton now has lost a podium position. Does he have anything left in the 09 here to battle Nick Cohan for it?
Well, I think right now what Tim Johnston wants to see, I think a yellow would be Tim Johnston's best friend at this point. Be able to retain the track position and come in, because you figure if a yellow comes out now, everybody will hit pit road again for Goodyear tires. And see, they are now got the lap car now of Gerald Livingston in front of him. Actually, they got a whole slew of lap cars in front of them. Now we'll have to see how that's going to mix things up. Is it going to help or hurt Yazik coming up here? Yazik dives in over the inside. Power move here. Johnson, I think, knows it's not there. No, he's got Gerald Livingston there still on the outside of him. He's having to fight around him, but he is going to lose the lead to Brian Yazik. Brian Yazik back out in front. I do think that at this point, if he hasn't, he's getting close to clinching the most laps led here today for Brian Yazik. I think this will be his 44th lap led. Next lap car up in front of these guys will be Devin Cannon here in just a few minutes. You also got Rich Jetty out there as well. In fact, Rich Jetty off the pace. They're going to go around the outside of that black swab machine here. So Brian Yazik back up in front. You're already seeing him pull away. Johnson's going to be back in the clutches of Nick Cohan here before too long as well, in danger of losing second in a matter of moments. With Nick Cohan, you have to figure that'll be a guy to watch if he can get around Johnston fast enough. Can he get back up to the back bumper of Brian Yazik?
Man, I don't know. Yazik is he's really flying now, honestly. Once he got Johnston behind him, I think it really just was the signal of really the final nail in the coffin there for the rest of this field, because Yazik is really on the power now. He's passing lap traffic at will. Randy Yoakum hopefully going to move out of the way here for him. He does. Yoakum gets out of the way clean. Yazik continuing to power down through the turn. Nick Cohan is the driver now in second place. He just dropped Johnston for that spot. Cohan got the 2 lap cars in front of him to get to Yazik. Wonder if we should be talking about whether Nick Cohan has a little bit here to catch Yazik, because we know how his car does on a longer run. And for Cohan, he's now about 15 and a half laps on that. About 5 more laps. This could be falling into Cohan's hands. I didn't just say that. That was tough. I did.
That's all right. We'll let you
Cohans?
slide that one time. We'll let you slide. That's like one
Okay.
of the worst dad jokes I've ever heard, but we'll let you slide this time. So looking at Cohan getting around the lap car of Randy Yoakum, and now it's clean track between him and Brian Yazik. Next lap car will be a little while before they get to, and that'll be Tommy Ryan here in a little bit. But we know, as you mentioned, that Cohan's very strong on these longer runs. It looks like we have a longer run shaping up here to end this thing. We got about 22 laps left, and you're right. I think that plays right into the lap count where Cohan's car, he's really able to keep his car well in that last little bit, and that'll be about where we're at there, Sean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like what Nick's doing, but I will admit Yazik is still faster. That last lap, just about a tenth better than the rest of this field and Nick Cohan. So Yazik not going to make it easy on him at all. I think Yazik probably has the focus to finish this race. He's just going to have to hope that it stays green for him.
Okay, so we know who wants a yellow. We know who doesn't want a yellow at this point. That last lap there, it actually looks like Yazik was still a little bit faster than Cohan out in faster traffic. All right, so now we're looking at Tyler Dalton getting ready to lose P4 here to Drew Carroll. Drew Carroll showing some muscle again here as of late. He's drag racing him down that back straightaway. Guys, I think that the drag strip is actually out of turn 3. So, we'll take it out there. But Drew Carroll is able to get around Tyler Dalton very cleanly here, and he'll take sole possession of 4th place, dropping Tyler Dalton down to 5. So 20 laps to go. Your top 5 right now: Yazik, Cohan, Johnson, Carroll, and Dalton. Bob Bryant back there as well in 6th position. Can't forget about him. He'll have his eyes set on Tyler Dalton here before too long also. But I'm looking at that lead there, Sean, and I think that Yazik, I think he has a lot more left in the tank than what I thought he did. He's pulling away right now from Nick Cohan.
I think he's listening to the broadcast. And I got a feeling I can almost see him sitting there in the seat, and he's mumbling to himself like, "Yeah, I'll show these guys real quick. I'm gonna put a little more distance on him." He is really starting to open it up now. It's almost 2 seconds back to Nick Cohan. The guys have got to make it hang on for 18 more laps when they come across the start-finish line this time. He's still going to have more traffic to deal with. He's got that's Josh King and Tommy Ryan just up in front of him. Tommy, listen, I'm going to give Tommy a little love here. That car has been damaged the whole race. And Tommy is now fighting Josh King for this 11th spot. I don't think he'll catch Grahula for 10th, but Tommy surviving this run tonight, and hats off to him again. But now it's going to be a little bit of work for Yazik to do, as he has caught Joshua King. Going to have to get around him. Joshua not just going to move out of the way right here. Brian's got to be very, very careful down there on the inside. He's able to pull it off clean, coming off the turn, back across the stripe.
So there we go. That interval continuing to open up there with watching Josh King. Josh King's drift high. I think it's might be to start to try to let some of that traffic by. Excuse me. Race was starting to wind down. About 17 laps to go. Tommy Ryan is going to let your leader Brian Yazik go here. You're right. Tommy Ryan got caught up in one of those early race accidents, but there's a reason that he is sitting 3rd so far in the point standings here this season, and that's because that even when things don't go necessarily his way, he finds a way to make the most out of a bad situation, and I think tonight would classify as a bad situation there for Tommy Ryan. So Tim Johnson, now here comes Drew Carroll onto the back of him. Drew Carroll again showing some muscle here in the later stage of this race. He's going to want 3rd here.
The clipping that apex forward is really running. He's pulling off that move. Oh boy! Wow! What did Tim disappear there on your screen?
Yes, Tim Johnston. Waiting for him to reappear. Okay. So he's back. He's back. Whew. It makes you nervous sometimes when that happens.
Well, Drew Carroll able to get that spot. He's got himself in a podium position now. Oh
Oh,
boy, Devin Cannon having trouble.
spinning to the inside, into the inside wall.
No caution yet. No
No
caution.
caution. He spun off the track.
Oh, don't come back up on the track. Don't come back up on the track. You see it here on the replay. It's a self-spin. He wraps it pretty good there, man. He's back under power. Got the car down out of the racing group. He's making his way into the pit. Boy, good job by Devin Cannon there, letting everybody get by and not bringing out a caution with now just 13 laps to go.
Yeah, caution's one thing that Brian Yazik does not want to see at this point. He wants this thing to go green to the end and continue to run away with it. It is now that gap between him and Nick Cohan has opened up to over 2.5 seconds.
Maybe we just didn't get deep enough into the run for Cohan here to make a difference. I think Cohan having to deal with some of this traffic getting through it, I think that's presented a bit of an issue for him. He's got to be real careful here because he's got Wilco having trouble up there again on the top side. Oh, Wilco just all over that wall.
Slams that turn 4 wall. That was a hard hit. That was almost your caution right there.
How is that car still turning? Jeez.
I've been asking myself that ever since that last restart, to be honest with you there, but he's still managing to turn laps at this point and still try to get some positions. And it paid off because I think he was able to get around Devin after his little incident back there. So now the only lap car between Brian Yazik and Nick Cohan is Tommy Ryan, and Tommy Ryan not as much off the pace as what some of the other guys have been, so it might be a little tougher to get around. But Tommy Ryan's a clean driver. He'll be able to let him by, but he'll let him by when it's most opportune to do so. So don't be surprised you actually see guys lose a little bit of lap time there. But I think what Nick Cohan has to worry about here, 11 laps to go, is you've got Drew Carroll back there. Does Drew Carroll have enough time to get to the back bumper of Nick Cohan? Drew Carroll clicking off some pretty good laps right now.
He is, and he does have time. I think he can catch him. You know who else I think has a chance here? I think Bob Bryan's got an outside chance to catch Tyler Dalton to challenge him for that 5th spot. Bob turning really, really good laps right now. He's about 1/10 to 2/10 quicker every lap. He's starting to reel Dalton in. This could be a chance for Bob to just get another spot. And, he is already up 7 from where he started. So it would be big to get into the top 5 here for him. He just keeps digging. Dalton got a little bit of traffic in front of him to deal with there. But you know what? Again, Bob is starting to reel him in. It gets a little bit closer every lap. 10 to go. 9 now across the line.
That last time, Nick Cohan and Drew Carroll's lap times were practically identical for our purposes right now, this close to the end of the race. But you're looking at Tyler Dalton on your screen. Bob Bryant has come. Bob Bryant have to work his way through some of that lap traffic there, just weaving and slicing and dicing them up. But that does cost him a little bit of time to Tyler Dalton. But 7/10 of a second with the rate that Bob Bryant was closing on him, that he might put him on the back bumper there right before the end of the race.
This is just no give up by Bob Bryant. We've seen that car charging all night. He's had damage on the front end of that machine since since the first or second caution we had this evening. And Bob has just been very consistent, just continued to wheel it. This may pay off with a top 5 finish here if he could just get a little bit better here in these last few laps.
Yeah, that front end damage received in a little bit in an incident with Thomas George, and I think that was our second caution of the night, and that came really early on in this race. And he's been able to hold his own though, so he's got his eyes set on trying to go for a slightly bigger prize. But right now, Yazik has opened up that gap on Nick Cohan to almost 4.5 seconds. Yazik is just clicking away the laps while Nick Cohan has finally gotten his way around Tommy Ryan, but he's going to have to hold off still possibly a hard charge in Drew Carroll, but Drew Carroll himself is starting to run out of time to get up there. And so I think what we're looking at right now is possibly your top 3 positions, because you got Drew Carroll once again in third, and Johnston. And Johnston, he hasn't been able to run away from Johnston, but he's been able to put some good distance behind him. And Johnston back there about another second half. You got to go back almost another 2 seconds to Tyler Dalton, who Dalton I think is going to be the one that we're going to have to watch here. Is because Bob Bryant, I think is going to be we're going to have a sprint race here to the end.
But I don't know. We may have hit the point of no return here. We might get 1 lap at best, but I think that started with Rich Jetty.
Yeah, Rich Jetty is self-spin, but it came across the middle of the track, and it just enough to trigger that yellow.
Yeah, he had some cars behind him, and, well, like you said, unfortunately, it brings out that yellow. I really thought we were going to see this thing run green to the very end. Rich just, again, had self-spin. It was in front of traffic, and it does trigger that yellow.
All right, so if you're Yazik, no, no, you don't.
No.
Okay.
Because I'm not so sure this race is going to get restarted.
Exactly.
I'm not taking any chance of bringing that car down here. Yeah, and we may wind up with a 1-lap shootout. I'm not giving up position. Everybody else staying out.
Bob Bryant's coming down here. Your points leader.
Yeah, the only one though. Bob's gonna have to restart this from deep in the field. He might have been better off staying out. Okay, I'm debating that statement with our director now. He is gonna.
Okay, so. Yeah, and your first car lap down, who just got the wave around, your Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog, coming back to the lead lap. Welcome back, Tommy Ryan. Is Brutus helping him get back around and being able to, I guess, put the cap on it. I mean, we've said that he's been fighting all night. Well, here he comes again. We'll see what he's able to do. So, with that, the next question is, when are we going to see the lights, or are we going to see the lights go out on the pace car? Will we get a 1-lap shootout here, or are we done? We're going to know here before too long.
Okay, now to be fair to Bob Bryant, he is going to restart here, I think, probably about 7th. I think he'll restart 7th, so certainly not a bad decision to come in and get 4 fresh Goodyears, okay? I just don't know if he's going to have enough time to get himself into a podium spot, but you know what? It may wind up, honestly, when it's all said and done with, it may wind up being a wash for him. He may be able to pick up a couple of spots based on those tires. We probably will get restarted with 1 to go, I'm thinking right now, after this pass by.
All right, so here's an interesting little tidbit. I was just looking at some lap times. One of the fastest cars on the racetrack right before that yellow flag came out, and we knew it, but I verified it here, Drew Carroll. And he is going to, if we get that 1-lap shootout, he is going to start right behind Brian Yazik. Does he have anything to get around him? Is he going to be the wild card here to make this thing just a crazy finish?
I think he's going to push as hard as he can. Yazik may feel the rear end of that car get a little bit light. He better be on it when they get restarted. I think Drew Carroll's going to be digging, baby. He's come from a long way. Yeah, he started in the top 10, but I'll tell you what, it's been a long night for Drew Carroll, and I honestly think this is his best chance for a victory right here on this restart if we get it. And the lights are going to go out on the pace car.
So it does look like we're going to get that 1-lap shootout. So you've got Yazik up front. He has 1 win earlier on the season. You've got Nick Cohan behind him. He also has 1 win. But the 2 guys behind them, Johnston and Drew Carroll, they do not. Potentially a wild card. You got to go back a little bit. But how much are those new tires going to help out Bob Bryant on this 1-lap shootout? What kind of spots is he going to be able to make up here? Are we going to see a big jumble? Who knows? Alls I know is that things are getting ready to heat up here with this Patriot Fire Cup Series. Amsoil 200 getting ready to come to a conclusion with a one-lap shootout. Pace car coming down, 3 flag stand, getting those white and green flags out.
I knew what you
Getting
meant.
ready to display them. And this thing's getting ready to get crazy, folks. Pace car getting ready to peel off. And we're just waiting for Brian Yasek to get onto the loud pedal. Brian Yasek great at restarts, but Nick Cohan's been able to challenge him. Here they go. Yasek does get a good restart. We're looking at a couple of guys getting a little squirrely back there. Eyes are up front, though. Yasek's able to take the lead, but here comes Drew Carroll. Drew Carroll gets in hot. It's Johnson. Carroll is sideways. Carroll's into the wall. He is spinning across the track, collects another car. We got a massive wreck behind him. Yasek's up in front. You got Nick Cohan behind him by a couple of tenths of a second, and then Woodrow Mahan gets in the third, but Woodrow Mahan gets in the back of Nick Cohan. Nick Cohan slides up the track, and here comes Bob Bryant.
Bob
Bryant
Bryant
with those new tires. He's going to be able to take second place here, but is not going to be able to catch Yasek in time. Yasek takes the Amsoil 200.
Okay, I officially quit as a GSRC crew chief. Bob Bryant, my hat's off to you, sir. Great decision.
As they're having to navigate some of those wrecked cars, they're still sitting in turn 2. All right, here's what happened. Sean, go ahead and talk us through.
Oh, yeah, fine. Hand it off to me. Let me
That's
talk
right.
us through it. This was a mess. Are you kidding me? This restart, you see right there, the 87 just gets in way too hot, makes the contact there with Johnston, and then everything begins to just explode behind him there. What a mess in the turn, but not for the leaders, man. They were cruising, and Yasek gets an amazing finish. Bob Bryant, though, my word. Yeah, let's watch Bob's. We're going to watch Bob's trip through this right now. Let's see how he takes second place, folks. Bob's just going to charge through everyone here as the seas begin to part. We're going to watch it from the restart. Here we go. The pace car is off. There goes Bob Bryant getting on the hammer. He dives right to the inside, practically right down to the wall.
Anyway, once we watch this, another guy we got to watch go on board with this grind in just a second.
Yeah, Bob just keeps it buried down there on the bottom. And he's just going to bury the hammer here down the backstretch. Woodrow Mahan, lap car in front of him. And he just avoids another. Look at that, man. Wow.
All right, we want to go ahead and go with Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan may be one of the biggest benefactors of this also. With the race that he had, he's going to bring it home in 7th. Just ride along with him here. And it's a hit the restart. And they're just everybody goes and just watch, folks. This gets nuts for him. Just watch what he saw going into turn 2 here.
Tommy's seen it all tonight. Oh,
Man. Oh, just barely misses Tyler Dalton, and James Kahula gets up there as well. And then, that was a whale of a finish there. And I do think we had one photo finish kind of work out up top here. And trying to figure out who that was. Give me just a second on that.
well,
Johnston and it looks like Nick Cohan. Look at these guys fighting, coming to the line here. They ended up 4th and 5th, but oh man. Okay, so Yasek doing his donuts. That was just a crazy race that we're going to have to come back to here in just a minute. We'll give you our final rundown and everything else once we come back from a break. Well, we knew when that yellow came out, and we knew when we realized we were going to get a one-lap shootout to end this race that things might get a little dicey at the end of that thing, and indeed they did. So here's how your leaderboard shook out after that exciting last lap at Gateway Motorsports Park. Brian Yazik, I think he ended up being the one guy to completely get away from everything. Great restart, and that puts him at the top of your leaderboard, pretty much really dominated the day after leading about 70 laps here this afternoon. Bob Bryant comes home in second with a terrific last lap charge. Woodrow Mahan was able to sneak in there in third as well. Nick Cohan, Tim Johnston, fantastic battle to the line, side by side, rubbing fenders, trying to get that fourth position, but Nick Cohan comes out on top between him and Johnston. Only 1/100th of a second separated those two. James Krahula coming home in sixth position. Tommy Ryan with a terrific drive through that accident. Tyler Dalton in eighth, Ricky Harden in ninth, and now we're getting into some of the cars that were not able to complete the last lap after that accident. Drew Carroll in 10th. Go ahead and take it away, Sean.
All right, then you got Jeff Ward in 11th. 12th is going to go to Matt Murphy tonight, a lap down. Josh King going to wind up 13th. Actually, not bad to him to get that result. Randy Yoakum, quiet night for him, 14th. Gerald Livingston, 15th. Calvin Filarski, 16th. And the rest of these cars all multiple laps down. Devin Cannon, 17th. John Wilco, 18th. Rich Jetty, 19th tonight. Rick Thompson in the American Pool Supply Ford had a tough night. 13 laps down. He'll finish 20th.
Yeah, coming home in 21st. Of course, we talked to him before the race. Unfortunately, after an accident, he was able to turn some laps, but ended up blowing his engine. Adam Littell fell out of the race. Thomas George was involved with an earlier accident with Bob Bryant, coming home in 22nd. 23rd, Travis McQuestion. 24th, Justin Rodden. Norma Peltier, early accident victim, comes home in 25th. 26th, Reed Rundell. 27th, Don Runkle Jr. And 28th belongs to Mark Allen. So that rounds out the field in just an exciting last lap. There's one guy, though, that was able to pull away from it all, and that was Brian Yazik, and I do believe that Sean is caught up with him.
Yazik, you took the sweep here at Gateway. Congratulations, my friend.
Hey, thanks, man. Whew. I'm worn out.
Yeah. Brian, what was the key to victory tonight here at a very, very tough track? I dare I say maybe one of the more challenging tracks you'll drive all season.
Yeah, I mean, from a driver's standpoint, you know, you kind of talked about it in your woodshed video. It's a real driver's track. I mean, you got to really hustle it in there, and you gotta work it. And man, it's just, I don't know what it is about Gateway, but last year I always struggled at Gateway, and last year I figured something out, and the same thing, same thing worked all. It worked in the truck race, and then it worked in Grand National, and I thought, there ain't no way it's going to work again. And sure enough, we were just kind of riding, and I realized early I was burning the tires off a little bit. So we had to kind of had to back it up, and then that second off of the halfway part, I kind of figured out how to save it, and then that last run, man, it was just this Amsoil HPP or Amsoil hashtag Adam Littell special, HPPsimulation.com, Loud Pedal Motorsports Ford Fusion. We got the job done, man. That's awesome. I cannot believe it. It's awesome.
Brian, what was your first thought when that last caution flag came out?
I can't say that on the air. It was funny because I'm sitting there and we got to 20 to go, and I was looking at the laps, counting them down. I'm like, okay, okay, we'll get there. Something's bound to happen. And then it gets to 10, and I'm like, all right, maybe. And then it gets to like 6, and I'm like, just get me 2 more laps, get me 4 to go, and I don't give a crap what happens then. And then sure enough, I'm in turns 3 and 4, coming to 4 to go, and there was the caution, and I just a lot of 4-letter words, some 5-letter words, a lot of words that ending in ing, ed. There's a lot of them in there, but we got a good restart off of that final restart, and we're able to get away. I know I saw those guys come in and take tires, and I thought our goose was cooked, but somehow we made it all work. Bob got up to second. No doubt if it was a 2-lap shootout, I was done. It looked like everybody kind of died behind me, so I don't know really what happened back there. I'll have to look, but not a bad day for the Amsoil Adam Blattle hashtag Adam Blattle special. Right in his hometown, down there, so that's pretty awesome. It was pretty cool to put this deal together in the off season, and we get to park it in Victory Lane, so that's not too bad. I'll have to go find Adam somewhere and have a couple cold ones.
All right, Brian, we're going to let you go have those cold ones. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah,
Great
really
night
quick.
for you.
Yeah, really quick. I just want to say I'm dedicating this win to Mama Scala. I know Chris and his family was dealing with some stuff. So this one's for you, Chris, and all of your family. Hopefully everything works out good for you. We're all thinking good thoughts and positive vibes and good jujus and whatever you need. We got your back, man.
Well, hey, thanks for sharing that, Brian. And listen, buddy, again, congratulations. We'll see you next week in Kentucky.
Sounds good. Let's go for 2 in a row.
You got it, man. All right, and that was Brian Yazik, driver of the number 55 HPP Simulations Blue Oval Ford, and tonight had Adam Blattell's Amsoil on the hood. And well, now I think it's probably time to talk to Bob Bryant. I'm sure, Adam, you've probably got a question or two for him on that strategy there.
Yeah, I think we do. Bob Bryant, second place finisher here today, looks to retain the points lead for your Patriot Fire Cup Series points battle here. Bob, I tell you what, did you just see the writing on the wall or something deciding to come down pit road at that last caution?
Yeah, I mean, it was, first off, just congrats to Brian, regardless of, obviously he had the fastest car. I think he drove away from everybody there at the end, and he drove a hell of a race, and so did all the rest of the guys, in front. It was kind of unfortunate there that we had that yellow. Unfortunate timing. It came out to where there was a 1-lap shootout, and on the 1-lap shootouts in iRacing, there's no yellows. So I looked down and saw, we had a bunch of lap cars between us and the cars behind us. There's only a couple of cars behind us on the lead lap to begin with, and came down, took forward, and got lucky, got put on the bottom, and a couple people didn't lift for turn 1 in front of us and went bowling, and we made it up to second. Definitely didn't deserve it, but sometimes it swings your way, and it did for us today.
Well, it ended up probably being the move of the race there, coming down pit road, putting yourself in position there to be able to work your way through that, and also probably having the grip and the new tires to be able to pull off that move there going into 3. Tell us a little bit about that, going into 3 and coming down to the start-finish line.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know it was going to happen in 3. I mean, honestly, the way it worked out, it would have been better going to the bottom. I still don't think I would have gotten up to Brian. He was I might have gotten to his bumper, but I don't think I would have gotten by him. We went into 3, and Woodrow got into Cohan, and I just kind of waited to see what was going to happen.
A little bit of a technical problem there. Go ahead and finish your thought there, Bob.
Appreciate that, guys. Damn.
That was my bad. I'm taking credit for that. Sorry, Bob.
I'm not very well loved tonight, man. I've got drivers other people in this league telling me I'm all sorts of 4-letter words for no reason. Now y'all kicking me. Anyways, no, I was just waiting for Cohan to, see if he was going to overcorrect or, if he was going to hang on to it. And he did a hell of a job hanging on to it with, 50 lap tires or whatever it was at that point, and shot the gap there and came through for second. Okay,
so we ended up going here, or last time was at Road America, of course, going left and right, and then now Gateway. Next up for you, Mr. Points Leader, is going to be Kentucky. What's your thoughts heading into the 1.5-mile track?
That's really my forte. I like the 1.5-mile stuff. I feel like I have my best shot at those tracks and probably the road courses. Tonight we kind of got back in traffic, and then I'm just not great if you got to use the brake pedal, I guess. So yeah, I mean, looking forward to that. But I mean, more so than that, I'm just looking forward to people, enjoying the racing. We all do this for fun, and I gotta tell you, it's not a lot of fun with some of the attitudes that some of these drivers have, and regardless if they think that you race, somebody raced them hard or held them low or whatever the case may be, it just doesn't excuse the attitude, and it doesn't make it very fun. So hopefully that gets resolved going forward, and we'll see everybody next week.
All right, Bob. Well, hey, we'll see you in Kentucky, and once again, good run tonight. And I think now we got to talk to our surprise third place runner here. I think we're going to bring in Woodrow Mahan, and Sean's going to talk to him.
Woodrow, what a run, man! You really earned that podium finish late. How did that all develop for you there at the end?
Well, I started, yeah, I started. I mean, I started 3 rows back, and the 09 spun his tires, and then we got on the backstretch after the debacle in the first corner, and me and Cohen were going for the same place, and he got on the brakes a little bit before I did, and I gave him the old Torino front end and shoved him out of the way. It wasn't on purpose, but I mean, it sucks because he was definitely faster than me, and probably third place is not where the bullet deserved to be.
Well, tell you what, the bullet comes through with a big podium finish tonight. Heading into Kentucky, you got to be happy with the momentum that's going to give you.
Oh well, I mean, anytime that you can finish, like I self-spun before the halfway point, so anytime that I can get, the third place points and get another top 5, you got to be happy with it. Moving on the mile and a half, not really my strong suit, but we got to race, and that's what we run here.
Well, listen, hey, after the race last week, you moved up 3 spots in the points. I guess you're going to get another good shot in the arm tonight. Who knows? Maybe you'll see yourself inside the top 10. Holy
moly, man. And then in the second session, we run like 6 road courses in a row. So who knows? I may get up in the top 10.
How's that road program there for you, Woodrow?
That's the only thing that works, man. It's the only thing that I can count on.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, we'll look forward to seeing you next week in Kentucky. We hope you can find the podium again there. Anybody want to give a shout out to? Any thanks tonight?
I want to give a shout out to the old teammates over there at Loud Pedal. Special shout out to Nick Cohan. Sorry, he had to be the victim of my first podium, and I'm really sorry about it. But I know I got a receipt coming for me. But thanks, and a big shout out to you guys. You guys do a great job. I appreciate it all. It's pretty sweet actually getting to watch all this stuff again.
Yeah, just do us a favor. Don't watch the first 5 seconds of tonight's show.
I won't tell nobody.
Well, hey Woodrow, just great job as well, and I'm pretty sure Nick will get over letting you have the podium this week.
Yeah, he'll get me back, I bet.
All right, well, that was Woodrow Mahan, folks, and Sean. Hey, I always like to ask you any final thoughts and any thoughts heading into Kentucky here.
Well, I think it's going to be nice for some of these guys to get back on a mile and a half. All right, there's several of these drivers here that favor the mile and a half. Kentucky, great track to get going fast, really fast, and we'll see a really good one next week for sure. Real quickly, I do want to send my thoughts and prayers out to the Scala family. #miracles, #prayers for Scala. You guys hang in there, keep fighting, and Chris, we'll see you back when we see you.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo those thoughts as well. And of course, Chris, having to deal with everything is the reason why I'm here tonight. And Chris, I've got your back as long as you need it, buddy, as much as I can. So hopefully, we're all hoping for you, buddy, and praying for you guys and your family. So with that, let's thank the Premier Racing League for letting us do these broadcasts here tonight. and also for the Patriot Fire Cup. Patriot Fire putting on the Cup Series and helping sponsor them through the Patriot Racing League. Also, thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcast that you see listed on your screen.
Also, thanks to our musical contributors, Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, whose music you can find at the websites listed. For more information about future races, you can see the list on the screen. Or guess what? We've got this wonderful website called GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. Please check us out there, and we've also got our past broadcast archived there. We've got them archived on YouTube as well. You can also check out our current scheduled events. Listen, folks, we got lots of racing coming up here in the near future. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, and of course, along those lines, we're also on Twitter at GSRC Channel and Facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Next time, we'll be on the air with the Patriot Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup Series. It's going to be next Thursday. That's going to be round 11 from Kentucky Speedway. So we hope to see you there at about 9 p.m. Eastern Time. For Dougie Beard, I'm Jed Yaman and Sean Ambrose. I'm Adam Young. Race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.